Chapter 744. Supreme Siblings 4. Miss, this pair of siblings might be a little extreme, but they are quite particular. I thought they would snatch it by force. Lu Tao whispered after watching the siblings walk back to their camp. They snatched it for a piece of grilled meat. The mystic supremacies in their team won't let them go even if we don't do anything, Lung Ruoxue said understandingly. The three mystic supremacies didn't look at them when the Lung siblings walked over just now, but she knew that their divine senses had been observing this place. Ah, why? Aren't those two the young masters and young ladies of the Lung family? Li Tao asked in puzzlement, her beautiful face full of question marks. Family honor. The Lung family's upbringing is very strict, so on the surface, the juniors of the Lung family don't dare to snatch things by force with their status. However, it's difficult to say in private, Lung Ruoxue explained lightly. Miss, will they hate us? Li Tao said worriedly. Ooh. She was afraid that she would cause trouble for Mississippi. What? Scared? Lung Ruoxue raised her eyebrows and said with some amusement. No. I'm not afraid. We didn't force you. Li Tao said resolutely after some thought. So what if they hate us? If they dare to cause trouble for us, we can just crack them directly. The freak said nonchalantly. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Lung Ruoxue's forehead. Alas! The freak was becoming more and more violent. However, there was indeed nothing to be afraid of in the Lung family. Lung Ruoxue and the others tidied up simply after eating. Then everyone walked into the tents of the 3 little dragons. After entering the tent, Cheng Wu and the others looked at the 3 dragons lying on the ground and asked, Miss, what should we do with these 3 dragons? Oh, take some more blood and then kill him. Lung Ruoxue smiled evilly to scare him. Just as Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she saw the fear and tears in the eyes of the 3 little dragons as she wished. This couldn't help boosting her mood. Well, why did she like to tease these dragons more and more these 2 days? Boo! Don't kill us. The blood on our bodies hasn't grown yet, a dragon said with tears in its eyes. But your dragon race's efficiency is really too slow. You haven't arrived yet, so I can't raise you for nothing, right? Lung Ruoxue's beautiful face was full of helplessness. You don't have to spend money. We'll pay the child support fee, okay? Another dragon said with tears in its eyes. Ooh, this demon hadn't given them a meal at all for 6 days. He actually despised them. Was there any justice in this world? Child support fee? Do you have money? Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes glittered. Well, it seemed like dragons liked shiny things the most. However, would there be good things in their poor appearance? Money. We don't have money, but we can use something to pay for it. With that, the dragon poured out the treasure it had stored for many years from the storage space in its body. These are your collections? Lung Ruoxue looked at the gold, silver artifacts, and shiny crystals lying on the ground by the silly dragon, and was a little speechless. Well, the things this dragon collected were really too tacky. They were either gold or silver, and there were also some gems of all colors that were useless to her. Yes, I've been collecting these for many years, the dragon said gloomily. Boo. Looking at this little demon's expression, it was obviously dissatisfied. However, all its things were here. What should it do? Its blood, its life. How are you going to pay for the child support? Lung Ruoxue turned to the other 2 dragons with slight disappointment. The other 2 dragons hurriedly poured out their collections and let their little demons choose. Ooh, it didn't matter if they took these things away as long as they didn't kill them. Lung Ruoxue looked at the trash in front of her with a slight headache and couldn't help but sigh. Alas! These dragons' taste was really too poor. These things could neither concoct pills nor refine artifacts. They were really useless to her. Are these okay? The 3 dragons looked at each other and asked carefully. Do you want to hear the truth? Lung Ruoxue asked with a light smile. Yes. The 3 dragons nodded, but then shook their heads violently. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Do you want to hear it or not? Lung Ruoxue teased. Yes. No. The 3 dragons said in different voices, their opinions a little different. After speaking, they lowered their heads dejectedly. Boo-hoo haha. Lung Ruoxue and the others laughed happily, seeing the pitiful appearance of the 3 dragons. Bad people. Bad people. A group of bad people. The 3 dragons were very depressed. Ooh. They could finally tell that this little demon just wanted to see them make a fool of themselves. It was really too inhumane. This was a sadistic animal. Miss, the dragons should be here, Feng Wu, who was abnormally sensitive, reminded her softly. She had already sensed the dragons even though they were about 1,000 meters away. Okay, let's go out. Little stupid dragons, I won't make things difficult for you since your clansmen are here. Well, I'll collect your child support fees from your clansmen. Lung Ruoxue said very seriously. Well, she was a good child and would never make things too difficult for these small fries. With that, Lung Ruoxue left the tent with everyone, planning to wait outside for the dragons to arrive. After exiting the tent, they found a random place to sit down, and even looked up at the sky from time to time. A moment later, a group of dragons flew over from the north of the sky. The leader of the dragons was huge, covered in golden scales that were golden and bright enough to be a mirror. This dragon was a level 8 transcendent divine beast, and the clansmen that came with it were almost level 8 and 9 transcendent divine beasts. There were nearly 100 dragons in this group. Lung Ruoxue looked at the dragons approaching them and thought to herself, the strength of the dragons should be about the same as the Phoenix clan, but the dragons were 2 times that of the Phoenix clan. Well, it seemed that the dragons could still give birth. The dragons had already descended in front of them, while she was letting her imagination run wild. Chapter 745. You infringed on the rights. 1. After the lead golden giant dragon descended, its huge dragon eyes kept looking around, calculating in its heart, why are the Lung family here? Could Lung Ruoxue really be related to the Lung family? Well, it would be a little troublesome if that was the case. One had to know that their emperor had warned the dragon race not to provoke the people of the 3 major superfamilies more than once. Therefore, it couldn't help being a little conflicted when it saw the Lung family present. May I know who you are from the dragon race? A mystic supremacy in the Lung family team asked. Alas, why did they meet the dragon race here? One had to know that the territory of the Phoenix clan was not far away. It was said that the dragon race and the Phoenix clan had no intimate dealings. Could it be that someone in the family was foolish and offended the dragon race, so they came to denounce them? Well, these dragons were obviously here to seek revenge. Thinking of this, his heart sank, and he became more and more worried. If the dragons were really here to seek revenge, just the dozen of them would probably not be enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. Alas! How is this good? Long Hui, the 5th elder of the dragon race, the golden dragon said arrogantly. Then its golden red dragon eyes kept looking at the Lung family and Lung Ruoxue. Well, it was easy to recognize the Lung family's clan emblem on their bodies, but not on some others. Moreover, it could smell the aura of the Phoenix race on those people, so it was very easy to confirm that the other party was its target. Hello, 5th elder. I'm the Lung family's guardian, Yin Liang. May I know why 5th elder is here? Yin Liang asked curiously. Guardian Yin, are you together? Long Hui pointed at Lung Ruoxue and the Lung family. Yin Liang was thinking about how to answer this question, but someone rushed to answer. Of course not. We are the noble Lung family. How can we be together with people of unknown identity? Lung Ruoxuan interrupted. She even glanced at Lung Ruoxue and the others provocatively. Long Hui was overjoyed when he heard that they were not together. After all, he was unwilling to provoke the Lung family if possible. Miss Xian, you talk too much, Yin Liang said with some displeasure. In his opinion, Lung Ruoxuan's behavior just now was really embarrassing for the Lung family. He secretly glanced at Lung Ruoxue and the others while he was at it, but found that their expressions were still as usual. Alas! The difference. Among the younger generation of the Lung family, only the young master, Lung Wudi, could do it. There was no other decent one. However, this was also beneficial. At least the young master's status was very stable. "I'm just telling the truth," Lung Ruoxuan whispered aggrievedly. "Guardian Yin, I'm here to look for them. Please leave immediately since you're not together." Long Hui pointed at Lung Ruoxue and the others and reminded them. Grandpa Yin, let's go quickly. This place is too dangerous. Lung Rushuan said hurriedly. She was very afraid of these dragons, but she knew that as a member of the Lung family, the dragons would not touch her as long as she didn't anger the dragons. However, she was under a lot of pressure staying by these huge beasts. Therefore, she really wanted to grow a pair of wings and fly far away from here now. Shut up, Yin Liang said resentfully. How could the Lung family be so cowardly? Grandpa Yin, let's leave quickly. Lung Rushuan pleaded again. Ooh. She didn't want to be implicated by others. Those dragons were obviously not to be trifled with. Moreover, the dragon mite on their bodies made it difficult for her to breathe. Miss Xian, you're the one who wants to camp here, Yin Liang reminded her. I know, but I don't want to stay here anymore. Let's leave this place quickly, Lung Rushuan said anxiously. She was really afraid that she would become the punching bag of those dragons if she stayed any longer. Guardian Yin, listen to this young lady. You should leave quickly. I have some scores to settle with them, so you should avoid them. Long Hui reminded very kindly. Blades had no eyes. It didn't want to accidentally injure the Lung family, so the best way was to let them leave by themselves. Grandpa Yin, let's go quickly. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and pack up. Lung Rushuan ordered directly. Miss Xian. Yin Liang was a little displeased with Lung Ruxuan's presumption. Guardian Yin, don't forget that I am the young lady of the Lung family. You are just a guardian of the Lung family. The purpose of your trip is to protect us siblings. If anything happens to us, you will be held responsible. Lung Rushuan raised her status as the young lady of the Lung family. Her parents had reminded them repeatedly to listen to the three guardians and not to contradict them before they came. And the siblings had been very respectful to these three along the way. However, it concerned their safety now. Therefore, she couldn't let them do whatever they wanted. She wanted them to know that she was the daughter of the Lung family now. And the others, including the three guardians, were only servants of the Lung family. Let's do as Miss Xian says, Yin Liang said furiously. Then he flicked his sleeves and left while the other two mystic supremacies followed closely behind. Everyone, follow quickly, Lung Rushuan hurriedly shouted to the others when she saw Yin Liang and the others leave first. Then she pulled her elder brother along. After sending the Lung family away, Long Hu's gaze turned to Lung Ruoxue and the others and asked, Are you Lung Ruoxue? Would you believe me if I said no? Lung Ruoxue asked instead of answering. No, Long Hui said confidently. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Then why are you asking? Lung Ruoxue said impatiently. In that case die. Long Hui was angry, and the consequences were serious. Wait, I don't want to be a fool. You have to tell us why before you kill us, right? Lung Ruoxue's beautiful face was full of question marks. Because you killed Feng Yin, and am here to avenge her, Long Hui said with hatred. Feng Yin? Could you be her adulterer? Feng De laughed fearlessly. Chapter 746. You infringed on the rights too. Shut up. Am not an adulterer. Long Hui glared at Feng De through gritted teeth. Damn, how did I look like an adulterer? I like Feng Yin. Feng Xian is your child? Feng Wu suddenly asked. That's right. Long Hui said with a face full of hatred. Damn humans, they killed its wife and children. It had to avenge them. Long Hui, don't you know that dragons and phoenixes can't marry each other? Feng Wu said with displeasure. In order to maintain the purity of their bloodline, the members of the Phoenix clan had never married outsiders, especially dragons. So what? We even have a child. Long Hui said provocatively. It would have reunited with the Feng Yin family long ago, if it weren't for the broken rules of the Phoenix clan. Therefore, it hated the people of the Phoenix clan a little. Feng Wu was so angry that she couldn't say anything. Dragons were so shameless. Fifth elder of the dragon race, attack since you're here for revenge. Lung Ruoxue didn't want to talk nonsense with them after knowing the answer she wanted and urged bluntly. Lung Ruoxue die. None of you can run away today. Long Hui said confidently. Yes, that's what I want to say too. I'll let your family reunite. Lung Ruoxue promised. Well, she couldn't stop them since they wanted to take revenge. However, she also didn't want to die, so there could only be one winner among them. Go kill these humans. Long Hui was furious when he heard Lung Ruoxia's words. Then he ordered his subordinates directly. Yes, Fifth Elder, the dragons answered loudly. The deafening voice sounded in Lung Ruoxia and the others' ears, making their eardrums hurt. TCH, so what if you have a loud voice? We'll still beat you up badly. You dragons. I'm afraid you won't be able to return. Feng De teased with a chuckle. Miss, should we still contract these dragons? Cheng Wu asked with shining eyes. Well, he already had a phoenix. How awesome would it be if he had another dragon as a contract beast? He thought happily. Anything, sell them if you're not interested. Well, with the strength of these dragons, they should be able to sell for a good price. Lung Ruoxia's beautiful eyes kept looking up and down at the dragons as she spoke, as if she was measuring their true value. Damn it, you're dead meat. A certain dragon was provoked by Lung Ruoxia's gaze and roared uncontrollably. Do it. Remember, don't waste the dragon blood and dragon scales. I'm useful. Lung Ruoxia reminded her before the fight began. Okay. Cheng Wu and the others answered. Then they collectively flashed their beasts with a swish. The appearance of many phoenixes dazzled the huge dragon eyes of the dragons. At the same time, it did not stop them from being dumbfounded. What's going on? These phoenixes look so familiar. The dragons were puzzled. Damn it, how dare you betray Yuner? Long Hui was furious as he looked at the phoenixes that appeared in front of him. Because these phoenixes were Feng Yun's trusted subordinates. It had a close relationship with Feng Yun, so it was very clear about her subordinates. These traitors. Yuner was dead, but they had no backbone to rely on the enemy. It was really too despicable. Unfortunately, Long Hu's words didn't receive any response. In fact, the phoenixes were also aggrieved. After all, they didn't recognize him as their master willingly, but now that the entire Phoenix clan had become his, and they had signed a master-slave contract with these humans, they naturally had to stand on their master's side. Fifth Elder Long, this is called recognizing facts. Lung Ruoxia provoked with a light smile. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and attack. Long Hui was so angry that he was about to vomit blood as he roared at his subordinates. Fifth Elder isn't calm anymore. Cheng Wu said understandingly. Then he gave Feng De and the others a look and attacked first. The two sides quickly engaged in a chaotic battle. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Cheng Wu and the others were agile and kept shuttling between the dragons, so they quickly confused the huge dragons. Well, those dragons were too big, so it was really too easy to attack them. Howl. Ouch. Who poked my butt? Damn it, you despicable humans. Screams and curses sounded at the same time. Cheng Wu and the others played with these immobile dragons with just a small dagger. At this moment, the dragons really hated their huge bodies. Boo. They should have shrunk a little if they knew. They originally returned to their largest state mainly to give these humans a psychological threat, but who knew that they actually hindered their movement now? Moreover, they would immediately collide with their companions, but as long as they turned around in contrast to the depressed dragons, Cheng Wu and the others were in a very happy mood. Moreover, they hadn't even used their mystic techniques yet. They only stabbed these dragons from time to time, let out some blood, and went for scales. Hee. There was no need to mention how satisfying this fight was. Damn it, what are you doing? Long Hui, who was watching the battle by the side, almost vomited blood when he saw the situation in front of him. Alas, weren't these dragons usually quite powerful? Moreover, they could be considered the elites of the clan. Why were they so faulty today? He felt that he had lost all his face. Fifth Elder, this place is too small. We always crash. A dragon that had just been stabbed said aggrievedly. Boo-hoo. They were really depressed to death. This was the first time they fought so cowardly after living for so long. Can't you fly? Growing wings is just for fun. Long Hui scolded, and the golden dragon scales were so angry that their color changed a little. The dragons were even more depressed when they heard Long Hu's words. Boo. Did they think they didn't want to fly? These humans were bleeding and removing scales for them while the phoenixes were staring at them from above. And with several screams, dragon scales that were larger than a washbasin fell to the ground like paper. At this moment, Lung Ruoxua also moved her beasts out of the bracelet. Chapter 747. You infringed on the rights 3. The transmogrified beasts immediately went straight for the dragon scales as soon as they emerged. Immediately, they saw palm-sized little beasts dragging dragon scales that were dozens of times larger than their bodies, shuttling back and forth between the battlefield and Lung Ruoxua. Hee lass. They cooperated well. The little old man smiled happily with his eyes curved when he saw the situation. Well, so many dragon scales could refine a lot of equipment. Yes, who will be the 5th elder of the dragon race belong to? Lung Ruoxua looked at the angry Long Hui and asked with a light smile. Of course it's mine. A dragon's skin is so thick and isn't suitable for girls. Therefore you just have to rest by the side. Leave that old dragon to me. Empty said matter-of-factly. Well, a dragon's skin was rough and thick, so it should be more resistant to beatings. All right, Lung Ruoxua said helplessly. Alas! Seeing that Empty was so excited, the battle this time probably had nothing to do with her and the freak. However, such an opportunity should still appear in the future, so she was not very anxious. TM going. Empty heard Schwer's words and ran to Long Hui without delay, afraid that she would regret it. Then he looked at it provocatively and said, I hope you can take a beating. With that, he directly punched at Long Hui, his fist containing light blue mystic energy. When did Empty use his fist? Lung Ruoxua looked at the freak with a face full of question marks. I don't know. The freak replied with a face full of innocence. Boo. Damn Empty, he actually infringed on rights. His fist was his specialty. However, the power of his fist was incomparable. After all, he used darkness attribute mystic energy, and the non-attribute was water attribute. Even though water attribute mystic energy could also attack, the effect was much worse than the dark attribute. While the two of them were chatting, Empty had already beaten Long Hui up badly on the battlefield. Moreover, he kept muttering, Humph. A lecherous dragon who doesn't learn to find a female dragon actually seduced a phoenix. Dragon slag. I'll beat you to death. Yes, beat it to death. Feng Wu, who had been watching the commotion, shouted in unison. Then she couldn't help joining the battle. However, she went to scrape Long Hu's scales. Moreover, more than half of the scales on Long Hu's body disappeared in the blink of an eye, and blood kept seeping out of his wounds. Ouch! Long Hui screamed in pain, but it still couldn't stop the scales from abandoning it. It was simply heartbreaking. Feng Miao, is your mother so violent too? Lung Ruoxua, who was not far away, was a little dumbfounded. Well, she had always thought that this was a phoenix with an elegant temperament. She didn't expect her to be so violent. No, my mother rarely gets so excited. I think she slept for too long. That's why she wants to exercise. Cold sweat dripped down Feng Miao's forehead, and she thought, Mother, your image as a virtuous lady is all ruined today. Oh, should I summon those old phoenixes and let them exercise too? Lung Ruoxua murmured to herself. Miss, if the ancestors all come out, then these dragons won't have a way out. Feng Miao said with a face full of black lines. Those ancestors. They were all battle maniacs, so it was better not to let them out for no reason lest they cause trouble. She couldn't help muttering in her heart. However, she didn't dare to say this. Otherwise, if those ancestors who had lived for countless years knew, they would definitely pluck all her hair and cook her up. That's true. Lung Ruoxua nodded and gave up on this idea. Then she turned her gaze to the battlefield. Bang, bang, bang. After a few loud bangs, the dragons reacted like dominoes and overlapped on the ground one after another. Moreover, every dragon was covered in wounds, and more than half of their scales had fallen. Empty, who was beating Long Hui up, turned back to look at the situation behind him when he heard the sound. Then he beat Long Hui up fiercely a few times and Long Hui, who had no power to fight back, collapsed weakly on the ground. That's it? How useless. Empty kicked Long Hui and said with slight dissatisfaction. Alas! It was really too disappointing. Long Hui, who was lying on the ground with no intact skin and no strength at all, vomited a mouthful of blood in anger after hearing Empty's words. Then he fainted with his eyes wide open. "You infringed," the freak said very seriously to Wayless, who had returned to their side but obviously hadn't had enough. Empty was stunned and speechless. "What a waste! What a waste!" the little old man said with a face full of pity as he looked at the dragon blood that spurted onto the ground. "It's okay. We've already collected a lot of dragon blood today," Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. "Well, we've profited this time. Lass, what should we do with these dragons?" The little old man looked at the dragons on the ground with a headache and thought, "These dragons are taking up some space." If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. "You must have contracted," Lung Ruoxue said, and then directly domesticated the dragons lying on the ground. Of course, Long Hui was an exception. She could let these small fries go, but she would not let their heads go. After training Lung Ruoxue, Lung Qingtian, and the others each found a relatively pleasing dragon and signed a master-slave contract. After the contract was completed, they each stored them in the beast space. After the dragons on the ground disappeared, their vision became spacious again. As for the unconscious Long Hui, since Lung Ruoxue had decided not to keep it, it naturally became the snacks of the pythons again. This time, it could be considered a family reunion. After settling all this, Lung Ruoxue left with everyone. Lung Ruoxue and the others were sitting on the little peacocks back on the way to the dragon race. "Miss, I heard that the dragon race is very rich," Fonda said with a smile. Well, since the dragon race came knocking on their door, of course they couldn't refuse. "Fonda, dragons love shiny things the most, but those things are not very useful to us," Lung Ruoxue said, very disappointed. In her opinion, the taste of dragons was really too poor. It was fine even if you collected some crystal cores of transcendent divine beasts. At least they contained spiritual energy, but only those good-looking but useless gems. However, those gems might be able to be sold for a price if they were sold. After all, not liking them did not mean that other women did not like them either. Chapter 748, Black Mist Cliff 1. "That's true." Fonda scratched his head shyly. "Master, dragons of the dragon race can definitely sell for a good price on the boundless heaven continent," Lin Yuan reminded. "TCH. Of course. However, we don't lack money now, so it's not too late to sell when we can't take the blame." Fonda patted Lin Yuan's head gently. Everyone chatted and laughed along the way. The dragon race was their destination. The dragon race came knocking on their door. Wouldn't they be wasting the dragon race's good intentions if they didn't accept it? "Miss, we can't fly forward anymore," the little peacock suddenly said while flying. "What's wrong in front? Why is there so much fog?" Lung Ruoxue frowned in puzzlement. Moreover, the fog was grayish-black and poisonous gas filled the air. "Master, we should be at Black Mist Cliff," Feng Wu said after some thought. Black Mist Cliff was a necessary route to the dragon race, so they had to pass through this place if they wanted to reach the dragon race. Otherwise, they could only return the way they came. Black Mist Cliff. Lung Ruoxue carefully searched for information about this Black Mist Cliff in her mind. Black Mist Cliff could also be considered a strange place on the boundless heaven continent. Below the cliff was a bottomless abyss, and the sky 10,000 meters above the cliff was even suffused with poisonous fog. If one wanted to go north from this Black Mist Cliff, they had to pay a high price. Otherwise, no one could think of going there. It was said that this Black Mist Cliff was the territory of the Black Mist Stronghold. The people of the Black Mist Stronghold were not afraid of these poisonous fog. They would allow others to pass through this place as long as they satisfied their conditions. Otherwise, they could only return home. The origin of this Black Mist Stronghold was very mysterious. No one even remembered when they occupied this place. However, whenever someone wanted to pass through this place, the people from the Black Mist Stronghold would appear and propose conditions. They would send you there safely as long as you could do it. "Miss, looks like we have to land," Feng Wu whispered. "Okay." Lung Ruoxue nodded. Since they were passing by this place, they should do as the Romans do. No antidote pill could be used here. A special herb was needed to dispel the poisonous fog here, and this herb could only grow under the black mist cliff. The little peacock hurriedly descended upon hearing this. Then it panted heavily. Boo! The poisonous fog was so powerful that it found it difficult to breathe from so far away. Miss, what should we do now? Fengda said with a slight headache. Find the people from the Black Mist stronghold to bring us there, Lung Ruoxua said after some thought. She didn't know what the price would be, but she didn't want to take the risk before she had absolute confidence in bringing everyone there safely. Moreover, this was a place that had to be passed to go to the north of the Boundless Heaven continent. Presumably, the people from the Black Mist stronghold wouldn't propose any too excessive conditions. Otherwise, this Black Mist stronghold would probably have become the public enemy of the continent long ago. If that was the case, they would probably be unable to be carefree even with these poisonous fog protecting them. Where are the people from Black Mist stronghold? Everyone jumped down from the little peacock's back, their shrewd eyes searching everywhere. The little old man was calm, and looked like he had nothing to do. Well, it was time to test their vision. Lung Ruoxua looked up at the faintly discernible plaque in the gray-black fog not far away and smiled gently. Then she walked to the bottom of the plaque and stretched her hand in. Finally, she found a button on the left wall and pressed it. There's no need to look. I've already contacted them, Lung Ruoxua said with a light smile. Fengda and the others were stunned, thinking, Mrs. so fast. A group of people walked out of the thick fog not long after Fengda, and the others returned to their senses. There were about 10 people in this group, and each of them was above Mystic Sovereign. Moreover, their auras were restrained, and their expressions were calm. It would really be difficult to notice their low profile if they didn't often hide their strength. We want to pass through here, Lung Ruoxua said bluntly after seeing this group. Yes, as long as you can fulfill our conditions, the man leading the group said with a very friendly attitude. Even though these people's strength were all great mystic on the surface, it was suspicious to have so many great mystics gathered together. Moreover, there were crouching tigers and hidden dragons on the Boundless Heaven continent. Therefore, they would also treat them politely even if the other party was only a small mystic. After all, who knew if they were pretending to be pigs to eat tigers? There were many people who liked to hide their strength in this world. What conditions? Lung Ruoxua asked curiously. There are 2 ways to pass through Black Mist Cliff. The first is to pay, and the other is to complete our mission, the leader said with a smile. It will be 10 million purple coins per person. If you choose to take on missions, you only need to complete 3 of our missions, before you will all be able to pass through here safely, the leader added. 10 million? You're robbing money. Fengda's forehead was full of black lines. He couldn't help shouting. If each person was paid 10 million, the money that Miss had worked hard to save would be reduced by more than 1 billion in an instant. This Black Mist stronghold was really too evil. He originally thought that the Shadow City was already dark enough, but compared to this Black Mist stronghold, it was basically a small house seeing a big house. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Isn't there another choice? The leader said without anger. In fact, he didn't care about Fengda's reaction at all. He had seen many people after guarding Black Mist stronghold for so many years. There were many people with more intense reactions than Fengda, so Fengda's reaction was really nothing. Tell me about your mission too, Lung Ruoxua said after some thought. For some reason, she had a feeling that the Black Mist stronghold collecting money was just a cover for them to complete their mission. Miss, our missions are all here. You can choose 2 from them to complete, and the last is the designated mission. If you complete all 3 missions, not only will you be able to pass Black Mist Cliff safely, you will also become guests of our Black Mist stronghold in the future, the leader explained. Then he took out a beast hide scroll from his ring and handed it to Lung Ruoxua. Chapter 749, Black Mist Cliff 2. Oh. Lung Ruoxua took the hide scroll, opened it, and looked at it. Then she handed the hide scroll to the little old man. The little old man took the hide scroll curiously and browsed through it. After reading, he couldn't help widening his eyes because the difficulty of the mission on it was really abnormally high. Master, what mission? Zheng En asked curiously. Take a look for yourself. The little old man handed the beast hide scroll to his disciple and began to think. In fact, he knew the rules of the Black Mist stronghold. However, he hadn't come here often. Moreover, if he wanted to pass through this place, he would basically have to pay directly. The others who wanted to pass through this place to the north should be similar to him. After all, everyone who could afford to go to the north was not short of money. Therefore, there was naturally no need to waste precious time. Therefore, he really didn't know that the mission of Black Mist Stronghold was actually so stringent. Alas! How many people could complete such a mission? It seemed like paying would save a lot of trouble. However, they seemed to have more people. This would cost a lot of money. Thinking of this, his heart ached a little. Zheng En took the mission and looked at it, but his eyebrows were locked tightly, making Fengde and the others' hearts turn cold, and they were even a little at a loss. You can discuss whether to pay or do the mission, the leader said with a friendly smile. Okay, please wait a moment. Lung Ruoxue communicated via voice transmission. Lass, you have to think carefully. It might be a little too much, but it's not difficult. This mission is really too dangerous, the little old man reminded helplessly. In fact, he knew that Schwer had long decided that the discussion was only for outsiders to see. Grandpa, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. In fact, I want to go to the bottom of the cliff to take a look even without this mission. This thick fog is really strange, Lung Ruoxue comforted with a voice transmission. She was originally thinking of ways to go to the bottom of the cliff openly. After all, if she wanted to cure the poison in the thick fog, she had to use a herb here. That herb grew at the bottom of the cliff and happened to be a type of mission, so this mission was the most suitable for her. It's good that you know. The little old man sighed helplessly. Okay. Lung Ruoxue directly said to the man leading the group after communicating with everyone. We don't have money to do missions. Okay. The leading man smiled. In fact, he was very happy. It had been thousands of years. It was really not easy to meet someone who was willing to do missions. There are 2 missions to choose from here, right? Lung Ruoxue pointed at the hide scroll. Okay. The leader nodded. Then I choose these 2. Lung Ruoxue pointed at the last 2 missions on the hide scroll. Are you sure? The leading man looked at the mission, and then looked at Lung Ruoxue with slight surprise. He thought to himself, this young girl really impressed him, because not only were the 2 missions she chose not the easiest among the dozens of missions, they were the 2 with the highest difficulty. In order to complete these 2 missions, strength, guts, and luck were indispensable. Yes, but I want to know what protection can you provide me if I go down to the bottom of the cliff? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. Well, if she could go to the bottom of the cliff, the thick fog would be nothing to them. So she felt that these people had to provide them with some antidote pills and the like. Otherwise, they would probably faint from the poison before they could continue waiting. Haha, if you choose other missions, you will definitely have to rely on yourself to complete them. However, these 2 missions, we will provide you with a few antidote pills, but you have to complete the mission in 24 hours. Otherwise, the antidote pills will be ineffective. The leader said with a smile, but he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Well, this girl was really smart. It seemed that not all beautiful women were brainless. Okay, when do we begin the mission? Lung Ruoxue asked. Tomorrow morning. You can stay here for the night today and discuss which few people will go down to the bottom of the cliff. After all, we can only provide 5 antidote pills, the leader reminded. Okay. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Do we need to spend money to stay here? Fengde couldn't help asking. Well, these people were too evil. Therefore, it was better to ask clearly. Haha. Don't worry. Since you've chosen to do the mission, our Black Mist stronghold won't take a single cent from you. Don't be afraid. The leading man comforted. Or Bsref. Sayus. Then follow me into the village. The leading man made an inviting gesture, and was about to bring Lung Ruoxue and the others in when he was interrupted by an unpleasing voice. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Wait. We want to enter the village too. A delicate shout suddenly sounded in Lung Ruoxue and the other's ears. Do you want to stay too? The leader asked with slight displeasure. In fact, he had just discovered the traces of these people. However, these people seemed to want to fish in troubled waters. Well, this couldn't do. Of course. The person who spoke was a woman who looked to be in her early 20s. She was very beautiful, but her face was full of arrogance and she was looking at the man leading the group with a condescending gaze. Yes, 100 million purple coins per night. The leader said calmly. Upon hearing this, Fengde and the others couldn't help but drip several drops of cold sweat on their foreheads. They thought, this is really extraordinary black. Fortunately, they didn't need their money. Otherwise, the money they had worked so hard to save would probably all be taken advantage of by Black Miss Stronghold. What? You're ripping us off. Why can they not charge us 100 million purple coins each? The young woman said with displeasure, her beautiful face a little deformed from anger. Hee. This is the rule of our Black Miss Stronghold. If you want to go directly, you just have to pay 10 million for each person's travel expenses. If you want to stay in the inn, of course, you have to pay 10 times the price. Of course, you can also do missions if you don't have money. Moreover, once you choose a mission, food and lodging are all free. You can discuss it. Our Black Miss Stronghold is famous for being honest with everyone. The leader said good-naturedly. Chapter 750, Black Miss Cliff 3. Miss, let's pay and go home quickly. Old Master is still waiting at home. The guard beside the young woman reminded softly. No, how can we be looked down upon? The young woman said indignantly. Why could others stay for free while they had to pay? This was too unfair. So Miss chose to do the mission. The leading man said understandingly, but he couldn't help sighing in his heart. Alas! What an ignorant young lady. To want to choose the same mission as them. The young woman pointed at Lung Ruoxue and said with a face full of jealousy. How can this woman be so beautiful? She's really infuriating. Miss! The guard beside the young woman wanted to stop her, but the words he was about to say were scared away by the woman's gaze. Are you sure? Miss, don't blame me for not reminding you. The mission they chose is very dangerous. If they can't complete it, they will probably stay inside forever. The leading man said very implicitly. Well, he didn't think highly of the team later. How can a mighty mystic monarch like me not dare to accept a mission that even a great mystic dares to accept? Moreover, if there's really danger, they will probably be the ones to die. We definitely won't die, the young woman said confidently. However, her words angered Fengde and the others. Damn, this woman looked decent, but why was her words so vicious? Lung Ruoxue stopped them with a look when she saw Fengde and the others rubbing their palms together, wanting to attack. It was not that she did not want to teach this woman a lesson, but she felt that there was really no need to waste time on such a woman. These people would probably not survive until they reached the bottom of the cliff. Come in with me. The man leading the group looked at Lung Ruoxue and the others mysteriously, and said to the two groups of people. Then he led his subordinates in front to lead the way. After passing through the thick fog, Lung Ruoxue and the others' vision became clearer. Moreover, there was actually a completely different world behind the thick fog, and the scenery inside was even more beautiful. This place is so beautiful, the young woman exclaimed as if she was ignorant. This is the only place on Black Miss Cliff where outsiders can stay. At the same time, it might be the last place you will live in this life, the leader said with a light smile. What do you mean? The young woman asked in puzzlement. Didn't I say that we have to stay here if the mission fails? Well, in layman's terms, the outcome of the mission failure is only death, the leading man said. What? The young woman was a little dumbfounded. She didn't expect to die if she didn't complete the mission. Miss, let's pay and leave this place. I keep feeling that this place is strange, the guard beside the woman advised again. It's too late to pay now. Since you've chosen the mission, you can only complete it. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave this place. The man leading the team interrupted gloatingly. Alas! He had reminded this woman long ago, but she refused to listen and insisted on doing a mission like him. It was really hopeless. Miss, what should we do? The guard said with a pale face. He had heard of the mystery of Black Mist's stronghold, so he was really a little afraid. To complete the mission, of course, the young woman said with a slight headache. Alas! She knew that she was a little impulsive, but she just didn't like that woman. Moreover, she didn't believe that she, a mighty mystic monarch, wouldn't be able to complete a mission that even a great mystic dared to accept. Moreover, she had so many guards by her side. She couldn't help becoming confident with this in mind. Miss, old master is still waiting for you at home, the guard reminded softly. What's the use of saying this now? Can we leave without completing the mission after coming in? The young woman roared furiously. Yes, that's right. Therefore, stay here and do the mission with ease. The man leading the team said happily. No one had been willing to do the mission for thousands of years. 2 groups actually came today. One was only to make up the numbers, but it was better than none. Therefore, he was very satisfied today. With that, the man in the lead got someone to arrange residences for Lung Ruoxue and the woman, and then he went about his business. Lung Ruoxue and the others lived in an independent yard that was planted with unknown bright red flowers. Moreover, they were the only house in the huge place. They didn't know where the woman had been arranged to. Schwer, I have a question that I don't understand, Lung Qingtian said with a face full of question marks after casually finding a place to sit down in the yard. Grandpa, what problem? Lung Ruoxue asked in puzzlement. Schwer, isn't there poison in the fog of Black Mist's cliff? Why didn't we feel anything when we walked in? Lung Qingtian was very puzzled. They had passed through a thick fog when they entered Black Mist's stronghold, but they didn't feel any discomfort. What was going on? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Grandpa, we were brought in by the people from the Black Mist stronghold. If something happens to us, won't the reputation of the Black Mist stronghold be ruined? Moreover, I think they should have something that can avoid poison, Lung Ruoxue analyzed. In fact, any medicine had something that complemented and restrained it, like the 10,000 root grass at the bottom of the cliff. However, the 10,000 root grass had to be refined into a pill to restrain this poisonous fog, so the people from the Black Mist stronghold should have other ways to avoid these poisons. Yes, that makes sense. Lung Qingtian nodded. Miss, that woman was too uncouth just now. She's really annoying. She actually snatched the mission from us, Cui Zhu said indignantly, her cute little face bulging with anger. So be it. We're not the only ones who can do missions. Lung Ruoxue gently pinched Cui Zhu's face and said nonchalantly. The 2 missions she chose were the most difficult among all the missions. Even she didn't dare to say that she was absolutely confident that she could complete them before she descended to the bottom of the cliff. Moreover, that woman didn't even know what the missions were. Wouldn't she be courting death if she wanted to snatch them from her? However, she didn't have any sympathy for such a woman with poor judgment. Chapter 751. Black Mist Cliff 4. Lass, if I'm not mistaken, that woman should be a young lady from the Sun family, the little old man said after some thought. He had unintentionally discovered the Sun family's emblem on a guard just now. Miss, I heard a year ago that there was another genius after the Sun family's young master, Sun Tung. She advanced to Mystic Monarch at the age of 22. If she's the Sun family's young miss, then the new genius of the Sun family should be her, Cheng Wu said after some thought. Back then, when they quietly followed their young miss, they had collected a lot of news from the various families. Therefore, after hearing the little old man's words, he combined his intelligence and easily guessed the woman's identity. Well, if it weren't for the young miss and the others, advancing to Mystic Monarch at the age of 22 could indeed be considered a genius. Moreover, she was a woman, so this was even more precious. After all, there were really too few female powerhouses in this world. Oh, Lung Ruoxue answered lightly, obviously not too interested in the woman's identity. Schwer, let's discuss who will go down the cliff with you tomorrow. Empty reminded her. I definitely want to go down with Schwer, the freak said before anyone else could say anything. Want to go down too? Fengwu looked at everyone and said resolutely. Well, she believed that she had an obvious advantage over these people. Fengda and the others looked at each other, and no one said anything, boo-hoo. They also wanted to accompany Miss down the cliff, but there were really too many perverts around Miss, and they actually couldn't compete. Miss, bring me. Cheng Wu said. Well, he was already a mystic supremacy now, but he still had his fighting spirit. Stop arguing. The freak empty Grandpa do, Feng Wu and I will go. Stay in the space. Leng Ruoxue said resolutely after some thought. Woman, you can't leave me behind. Little Flame, which had been pretending to be a bracelet, couldn't take it anymore seeing that Leng Ruoxue didn't mention it. Well, it was a born king of great poison. It had to go down and take a look, because it could already feel that there seemed to be a lot of poisonous things down there. This was absolutely a huge challenge for it and also a great supplement, so how could it let go of such a good opportunity? But there are only 5 antidote pills. Leng Ruoxue was in a dilemma. Little Flame's poison was very powerful, but she didn't know if Little Flame could withstand the poison under the cliff. Moreover, being nourished by the poisonous fog, there must be a lot of poisonous things growing below. This strong dragon couldn't suppress the local snake, so she really didn't think much of Little Flame. After all, other than poison, Little Flame didn't have much attack. Woman, I don't need antidote pills, Little Flame said proudly. Hee, as a spirit poison nurtured by heaven and earth, its status was countless times higher than those poisonous creatures below the cliff. Therefore, this poisonous fog might be very powerful, but it couldn't hurt it. Moreover, its goal was the poisonous creatures living in the bottomless abyss. Ooh. Its current strength was too low, and it needed those nutrients to improve itself. Little Flame, aren't you afraid of this poisonous fog? Leng Ruoxue said in surprise. Well, Little Flame's resistance to poison was really extraordinary. No, these poisonous fog contain a trace of spiritual energy, which is also beneficial to me, Little Flame explained. Oh, then go down with us tomorrow. Leng Ruoxue was relieved. Yes. Little Flame nodded vigorously, and then found a spacious place to cultivate. Let's rest early today. We still have to do missions tomorrow. Leng Ruoxue said to everyone as she looked at Little Flame that coiled up. Okay. Everyone nodded and then found a room to rest at the same time. The man who brought Leng Ruoxue and the others in just now came to the back mountain of the entire Black Mist Cliff. The man came to the back mountain and made a few hand seals in the void. A door automatically opened in the empty back mountain, and the man walked in directly after entering. The man strode to a hall. At this moment, there were 3 people sitting in the hall, 2 men and 1 woman. Their eyes couldn't help widening when they saw him. Xiaofan, you should be on duty today. The only woman reminded him teasingly when she saw him. I came to tell you that someone wants to do missions. Moreover, they chose the 2 most difficult missions. Xiaofan smiled proudly. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Really? The 3 of them stood up from their chairs in surprise when they heard this. Their faces were full of disbelief. They knew the difficulty of the mission very well, so not many people dared to choose to do the mission after so many years. However, they didn't expect someone to do the mission today. Would I lie to you? Moreover, it's not just one team. However, the other team is just for show. The chance of failure is very high, Xiaofan said after some thought. What's going on? The 3 of them were a little puzzled. They were all looking forward to success since someone was willing to do the mission. However, Xiaofan's reaction was really strange. Look at it yourself, Xiaofan said and waved his hand gently. A light curtain appeared in front of the other 3 people, and what happened in front of Black Mist Cliff just now appeared in front of them. Which family does that woman belong to? She's really courting death, the woman said with disdain on her beautiful face. That woman is Sun mating from the Sun family, which is the new genius of the Sun family. Well, as for the other one, guess. Xiaofan kept them in suspense. Say it if you have something to say. Spit it out if you have something to say. The woman roared, very displeased. Baishi, you're really too crude. Alas! You're a woman. How can you marry in the future like this? Xiaofan said worriedly. I'm not getting married. Tell me quickly. Stop keeping me in suspense. Baishi roared furiously and raised her fist threateningly. Don't scare me. I'm scared. The other woman is Lung Ruoxue. Xiao Fan said honestly. Ooh. What a terrifying violent woman. Yet he couldn't beat her. The Lung Ruoxue who destroyed the Wu family and dealt with Feng Yin? Baixi's eyes lit up. Hee. She was just looking for an opportunity to meet this Lung Ruoxue. She didn't expect her to deliver herself to her door. This would be a great opportunity. Chapter 752, The Cliff Mission 1, Yes. Xiao Fan nodded. Are you sure? Baishi asked uncertainly. Do you doubt my intelligence network? Xiao Fan was very angry that someone questioned his ability. Therefore, he had to pretend not to know anything else about Lung Ruoxue. I'm afraid you got the wrong person, Baishi said honestly. Well, she was only interested in Lung Ruoxue. She would be angry if Xiao Fan got the wrong person. I'm sure she is Lung Ruoxue, Xiao Fan said confidently. Oh, when will they begin the mission? Baishi asked curiously. Tomorrow, Xiao Fan replied. Then I have to see her tomorrow. After all, it's not easy to have a woman that I like, Baishi said after some thought. I'll admit that Lung Ruoxue is very beautiful, but you're not a man. Why are you so interested in her? Xiao Fan asked in puzzlement. Well, he thought that Baishi was interested in Hong Ying. Who knew that she would actually be interested in a woman? Who said I can't be interested in her? Humph. You men. Your brains are always full of nonsense. I only admire her purely. It's not what you think, Baishi said with a face full of disdain. I didn't do anything? Xiao Fan was very aggrieved. Ooh. He really didn't. He was just a little curious. Not all men have such thoughts, so don't compare us, a handsome man said while adding insult to injury. Ooh. You're bullying me. Hong Ying looked at the man who spoke and said pitifully. There was really no justice in this world. The three of them were bullying him. Hong Ying might not have said anything, but he knew that that fellow was in the same pants as them. When did we bully you? Baishi asked in puzzlement. You do. I'm a disadvantaged group. I want to seek support. I want to look for Lung Ruoxue, Xiao Fan said half-truthfully. Idiot. Baixi's pink lips spat out softly. Xiao Fan was depressed. He was actually being treated as an idiot. Boo-hoo. Alright, are you done? Hong Ying, who had been pretending to drink tea, but was actually watching the commotion, said. That's enough. The three of them became well-behaved after hearing what Hong Ying said. They found a chair and sat down obediently. What are your plans for tomorrow's mission? Hong Ying looked at the three people in front of him and asked lightly. Big brother, sun mating definitely won't be able to complete the mission tomorrow, so we don't have to count on her, Xiao Fan said bluntly. Oh, do you think so highly of Lung Ruoxue? Hong Ying said in surprise. He knew that Lung Ruoxue had some strength, but the difficulty of the mission was really too high, so he didn't have the intention to definitely complete it. Okay. Xiao Fan nodded. In fact, he didn't know why he was so confident in Lung Ruoxue, but he had a feeling that Lung Ruoxue would definitely succeed. What do you think? Hong Ying turned his gaze to the other two. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Won't we know tomorrow? Why think so much? Chao Yi, who was stared at by Hong Ying, said uncomfortably. While Big Brother's gaze was still so oppressive. Of course I hope Lung Ruoxue can succeed. However, don't forget that the last mission is the most difficult compared to these two missions. It will probably be very difficult for anyone to complete that mission in this world, Baishi said worriedly. How will we know if we don't try? Hong Ying said with a deep gaze. Big Brother, will you kill Lung Ruoxue if you can't complete the last mission? Baishi couldn't help asking curiously. Want you know then? Hong Ying actually kept him in suspense. Then he said, if the first two missions fail, they probably won't survive without me killing them. That's true, Baishi said after some thought. Alas, if she couldn't even complete the first two missions, there would naturally be no third mission, so her worries were really a little unnecessary. Xiao Fan, send someone to the Sun family to send a message to Sun mating. Hong Ying ordered coldly. Okay. Xiao Fan nodded. Well, The news that Honging mentioned was naturally news of death, because sun mating was already a dead person in their hearts. Let's send them off tomorrow, Honging said. Okay. The three of them nodded. After that, the four of them discussed some details and left alone. The next morning, Lung Ruoxue and the others saw Xiao Fan standing in the yard waiting for them as soon as they walked out of the room. However, his gaze was fixed on Fiery, who was lying on the stone table cultivating. Xiao Fan looked up at them in surprise after sensing the auras of Lung Ruoxue and the others. Why are there only the 5 of you? Where are the others? Only the 5 of us went down the cliff. The others didn't go, so they stayed in their rooms to cultivate, hoping that no one would disturb them. Lung Ruoxue explained lightly. Oh, don't worry, it's very quiet here. My subordinates won't barge in without your summons, Xiao Fan promised. By the way, I didn't introduce myself yesterday. I'm Xiao Fan, the 4th butler of Black Mist Village, Xiao Fan added. TM Lung Ruoxue. They are my family, Lung Ruoxue said politely. She didn't intend to introduce anyone else but herself. Okay, please follow me. Xiao Fan nodded, and then left with Lung Ruoxue and the others. Lung Ruoxue and the others followed Xiao Fan to the edge of a cliff. The cliff that was not very spacious at this time was already full of people. There were a few people they had not seen before other than sun mating, and the others they saw yesterday. However, the aura on their bodies was identical to Xiao Fan's. You came so late even though you knew you were going to do a mission today, wasting our time. Sun mating took the lead to launch an attack before Lung Ruoxue and the others approached. Why couldn't they do the mission first without this woman? She was really about to die of anger thinking of this. Chapter 753. The Cliff Mission 2. Unfortunately, her provocation didn't receive a response from Lung Ruoxue and the others because in their eyes, sun mating was similar to a dead person. Who would waste time on a person who was about to die? Especially when she was courting death. Hey, you're too rude. I'm talking to you. How dare you not answer me? Sun mating roared furiously. Miss Sun, who said that we have to answer you if you talk to us. Moreover, we each do our own missions. If you can't wait, go down first. I don't want you to wait, Lung Ruoxue said speechlessly, but she couldn't help but grumble in her heart. She really didn't know how the Sun family educated their juniors. Why were they all so annoying? Do you think I want to wait for you? They were the ones who asked me to wait. Sun mating pointed at the 2 men, and one woman standing quietly beside her. Oh. Lung Ruoxue raised her beautiful eyes to size up the 2 men, and one woman not far away. These 3 people were very outstanding in appearance, and their temperament was very similar to Xiao Fan's. Therefore, if she was not mistaken, these 3 people should be the other 3 butlers of the Black Mist Village. Wow. She didn't expect them to take this mission so seriously. The 4 butlers were actually all here. At this moment, Hong Ying and the others were also looking at Lung Ruoxue and the others. However, the more they looked, the more surprised they were because they actually couldn't see the true strength of these 5 people with unknown means. The 5 of them were great mystics on the surface, but they wouldn't believe that a great mystic could deal with Fengyan even if they were beaten to death. Everyone is here now. The mission can begin. Sun mating, who was waiting impatiently, urged. Miss Sun, are you in such a hurry to die? She said speechlessly. Alas! The ignorant were unafraid. She felt some pity for sun mating. Damn it, who are you talking about? They're not even afraid of a few great mystics. What's there to be afraid of as a mystic monarch? Sun mating roared angrily. Miss Sun, your courage is commendable, but we have to say the ugly things first, she said with a smile. Tell us quickly. We're in a hurry, sun mating said anxiously. Miss Sun, do you know what the mission is? Lung Ruoxue suddenly asked curiously. I can do any mission as long as you can do it, sun mating said confidently. Oh, that's good. Lung Ruoxue was a little speechless. Mrs., these are antidote pills. Eat them first. She handed each of them 5 black pills, and reminded them. Lung Ruoxue took the pills and distributed them to the freak and the others before taking them herself. Sun mating mimicked Lung Ruoxue and distributed the pills. Miss Sun, Aren't you going to leave one for your beast? Baishi asked with a naughty smile. Why should we give it to a beast? It doesn't need to do missions, Sun Mating said nonchalantly. But the beasts have to carry you to the bottom of the cliff. What if your beasts are poisoned on the way? At that time, Baishi reminded, but she only spoke halfway, leaving everyone with imagination. We have to go to the bottom of the cliff for our mission. Sun Miting's expression changed as she said anxiously. She knew that she couldn't enter the bottomless abyss casually no matter how ignorant she was. Legend had it that the bottom was the heaven for poisonous creatures. Anyone who went down would definitely die. Of course. Bikes' smile was very bright. Damn it, did you know all along? You deliberately didn't say it, because you wanted us to accompany you to your deaths? You're really too devious. Sun Mating pointed at Lung Ruoxia and complained resentfully, her fierce gaze seeming like she wanted to eat her up. Miss Sum, did you lose your memory? I didn't ask you to take on this mission. Lung Ruoxia couldn't help rolling her eyes and said speechlessly, alas, there were really all sorts of birds in the forest. It was obviously her fault, but she insisted on blaming others. Miss Sun, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't spout nonsense. You were the one who accepted this mission. What does it have to do with my master? Feng Wu said mockingly. But I don't know that I have to go to the bottom of the cliff. I've decided not to do this mission now, Sun Mating said after some thought. She was really a little scared when she heard that she was going to the bottom of the cliff, so she would rather play dirty than do this so-called mission. Moreover, she believed that with her status, these people would definitely not dare to make things difficult for her if she was unwilling to do it. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Miss Sun, what do you think our Black Mist stronghold is? How can we let you have your way? I already said yesterday that we have to complete it since we accepted the mission. Otherwise, the consequences are not something you can bear, Xiao Fan said with slight displeasure. How dare you? I'm the most favored young lady of the Sun family. Sun Mating said arrogantly. Obviously, she didn't take Xiao Fan's threat seriously. The Sun family? Who does the Sun family think they are? Even if you are the patriarch of the Sun family, you have to do the mission for me. Let alone being the young lady of the Sun family, Xiao Fan said with disdain. Black Mist Village had always been very low-key, but at times he didn't mind letting others understand their true strength. Miss Sun, in our Black Mist stronghold, everything has to follow our rules, Baishi said with a light smile. Miss Sun, you can choose not to do the mission, Chao Yi reminded her. Really? I won't do it then, Sun Mating said hurriedly. Okay then die now. Chao Yi said emotionlessly and raised his right hand. Wait, Illinois do it. Sun Mating had no choice but to compromise when she saw the red mystic energy gathering in Chao Yi's palm. She didn't want to die. She still had a bright future. How could she die in this lousy place? Miss, it's very dangerous down there. Well, definitely die if we go. The guard beside Sun Mating reminded her anxiously. Boo-hoo. They were killed by this willful miss. Do you think I want to go? But if we don't go down, they will kill us now. If we go, we might be able to complete the mission. Moreover, the few great mystics are not afraid of death. What are we afraid of? If someone really dies, there will still be those people to cover us. Sun Mating whispered to her subordinates. This idea had already taken shape in her mind after she felt the threat of that man. In short, she had to live. Chapter 754. The Cliff Mission 3. But, the guard was a little uneasy but couldn't say why. But what? Do you have a better way? Sun Mating glared and questioned softly. No. The guard stopped talking. Then do as I say, Sun Mating ordered. Even though Sun Mating communicated with her subordinates softly, how could she hide it from everyone present? Schwer, looks like we were schemed against. Empty said excitedly. We were schemed against. He liked to be schemed against now. Okay. Lung Ruoxia nodded. Alas. She couldn't understand. Could it be that the words "I'm easy to bully" were written on their faces? Otherwise, why did people always treat them as soft persimmons? In fact, they were very toothless. Are you ready? Tell me your last words. Honging said. We don't have any last words, Lung Ruoxue said calmly. Why do you want my last words? Sun Mating said with some displeasure, feeling even angrier. Damn it, these people were already cursing them before they even went down. How ridiculous. In that case, your mission can begin, Honging reminded. Miss Sun, I still suggest you give one antidote pill to your beast. Baishi said very kindly. Know my limits. You don't have to meddle, Sun Mating said irritably. All right, consider me meddlesome, as long as Miss Sun doesn't regret it, Baishi said nonchalantly. Actually, she had long known that Sun Mating wouldn't appreciate it, but she was kind. She still had to remind her. That's my business too. Didn't they also not give their contract beasts antidote pills? Why don't you remind them? Sun Mating said indignantly. In her opinion, the reason this woman reminded her was obviously to see her embarrassed, so she wouldn't be fooled. I don't need to remind you. Baishi looked at Feng Wu and smiled. Then we don't need it either, Sun Mating said furiously. Then she summoned her flying beast, ordered her subordinates to sit up, and gave Lung Ruoxue and the others a provocative look. After that, she ordered her flying beast to carry them down the bottomless abyss. Oh, Miss Sun is really impatient. I'm not done talking yet, Baishi said with slight regret. Then she turned to Lung Ruoxue and the others and said, there are still many good things below the cliff even though it's dangerous. That's the reward for your mission this time. However, how much you can obtain will depend on your ability. Thank you for the reminder. Feng Wu, take us down. Lung Ruoxue thanked Baishi, and then said to Feng Wu, yes, master. Feng Wu transformed back into her original form. Lung Ruoxue and the others jumped onto Feng Wu's back, and Feng Wu flew them down the abyss. Oh, it's so hot. As soon as the phoenix with flames flew away, Whitey couldn't take it anymore and directly released a large amount of water attribute mystic energy to lower the temperature here. It seems like the entire Phoenix clan belongs to Lung Ruoxue now, Honging said thoughtfully. Well, that little girl was really not simple. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. How do you know? Baishi asked in puzzlement. There's no need to ask. Feng Wu is the patriarch of the Phoenix clan. Since she has woken up, that means she has recognized you as her master. Xiao Fan said understandingly. He had read through all the information related to Lung Ruoxue yesterday after knowing her identity, so he more or less understood the people around her. Why didn't you mention these things yesterday? Baishi said angrily. Xiao Fan was in charge of intelligence, but he actually didn't report such a big matter to them. It was too much. You didn't ask. Xiao Fan slipped away after speaking. Damn it, stop right there. Baishi hurriedly chased after him. Hong Ying and Chao Yi quickly transformed into a ray of light and disappeared. Lung Ruoxue and the others felt that their vision was becoming more and more blurry as they flew down the cliff. Moreover, the lower they flew, the darker it became, the thicker the poisonous fog in the air, and the temperature was so low that they could freeze to death. However, the flames on Feng Wu's body dispelled a lot of the coldness for them. As for Sun Mating and the others, they were not so lucky. The beast could not fly down when they were halfway there. Moreover, the beast could not withstand the poison and fainted, and the person on its back naturally fell directly from the sky. Schwer, did you hear anything? Empty, who was lying comfortably on Feng Wu's back, asked with a naughty smile on his handsome face. Wind, Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Feng Wu's flying speed was obviously much faster after setting up an enchantment. She believed that they would reach the bottom of the cliff safely before long. Haha, no. I guess Sun Mating flew down by herself because she found her beast too slow. Empty said understandingly. They just fell down. What's the big deal? This is within expectations, Lung Ruoxue said very calmly. The more they went down, the more poisonous the air became. The poor beast would not be able to fly to the bottom of the cliff without antidote pills. Bang, bang, bang. Several loud bangs sounded from below the cliff just as Lung Ruoxue finished speaking. Well, they're pretty fast. They're already here. Lung Ruoxue gloated. From the sound of it, They must have suffered a serious fall. She didn't know if they still had the ability to complete this mission. It seemed like sun mating and the others hadn't asked what the mission was yet. Master, we're here too, Fengwu said helplessly. Boo. Someone arrived at the bottom of the cliff before it did. It was so big. Be careful, everyone. Lung Ruoxue reminded them. She then jumped off Fengwu's back and looked around well. It was pitch black at the bottom of the cliff, and they couldn't see their fingers if they stretched out their hands. However, there were countless green lights staring at them intently in the darkness. Lung Ruoxue didn't have to guess to know that they had already become the food on the plate of the poisonous creatures at the bottom of the cliff. However, it was difficult to say who would eat who because she already felt Little Fire's excitement. Chapter 755, The Cliff Mission 4. Woman, there's so much food. Little Flame waved its little tail excitedly on Lung Ruoxue's wrist and said impatiently, Little Flame, don't be too excited. We are also their food, Lung Ruoxue reminded. Yes, I know. Woman, there are a few here that I can't beat. You have to help me. Little Flame pleaded with a fawning face. Okay. Lung Ruoxue had always been protective of her loved ones, so she naturally wouldn't side with outsiders. Moreover, it was too dark here and she didn't like it. Thinking of this, she directly used the light attribute mystic technique Boundless Light. In an instant, the originally pitch-black bottom of the cliff lit up like daytime, and the true appearance of this abyss was truly revealed in front of them. Lass, there are so many precious herbs here, the little old man exclaimed when he saw the scene in front of him. Okay. Lung Ruoxue nodded. After the bottom of the cliff lit up, they saw flowers and various herbs as far as the eye could see. Moreover, the poisonous creatures that were eyeing them covetously just now had all hidden away. It seemed like those things didn't like the day. Woman, my food is missing, Little Flame said gloomily with tears in its eyes. Don't worry. They will come out again, Lung Ruoxue promised, but she couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Alas! The bottom of the cliff in front of her was beautiful. Unfortunately, it was all used to confuse people because every flower and grass here were poisonous. Yes, I have to force them out. Little Flame opened its little mouth to absorb the spiritual energy here. After speaking, Little Flame was busy absorbing the spiritual energy with poison, while Lung Ruoxue carefully searched for her target. 10,000 root grass. This grass might have a very ordinary name, but 10,000 root grass was very rare, and 10,000 root grass was also one of her missions. Lass, I don't think there's anyone nearby. The little old man and the others were also helping to search, but they didn't find the target beside them. Okay, Grandpa Do, let's go take a look over there. Lung Ruoxue pointed to her left. Okay. Everyone nodded and walked to the left together. The bottom of Black Mist Cliff was wide. Lung Ruoxue and the others walked around the bottom of the cliff for about 4 hours, and only walked a third of the way. However, they gained a lot. Not only did they find more than 10,000 stalks of grass, they also collected a lot of other herbs. Schwer, let's rest over there. The freak pointed at a huge rock. Okay. Everyone nodded, and then sat down on the huge rock. Lass, this bottom of the cliff is really big. We've walked for so long, but we haven't finished yet, the little old man said in amazement. Yes. Grandpa Do, we need to find 15 herbs for the first mission, but we only found 5. Alas. There's still more to find. Lung Ruoxue sighed softly and said helplessly. There were many herbs under the cliff, but what was needed for the mission was very rare. Lass, the herbs here are all poisonous. What a pity, the little old man said with some heartache. There was no way to refine normal pills if the herbs were tainted with poison. It's okay. It can be refined into poison, Lung Ruoxue said with a light smile. Lass, you're an alchemist. I've never seen an alchemist as passionate about refining poison as you, the little old man said with a doting face. Grandpa Do, there's nothing wrong with poison. It can save lives at critical moments, Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. That's true, the little old man said after some thought. Empty, what are you thinking? Why are you smiling so cunningly? Lung Ruoxue unintentionally turned her head and couldn't help asking curiously when she realized that Empty was smiling secretly. Hee, I'm thinking of another group, Empty explained with a light smile. He had just used his divine sense to quietly scout around and found many funny things. Schwer, they're looking for us, Empty added. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Oh, they're still alive? Lung Ruoxue was a little surprised. Were these people cockroaches? They were quite inactive. Yes, but it won't last long. You'll know soon, Empty said with a smile. Damn it, you're actually hiding here. A sharp female voice sounded from behind them just as Empty finished speaking. Lung Ruoxue and the others couldn't help turning around, only to find 5 beggars standing behind them. Not only were their clothes tattered, but they were also covered in injuries, looking very disheveled. Who is this? Lung Ruoxue pretended to be puzzled with a smile on her beautiful face. TM Sunmating. Damn it, don't pretend not to know us. Hurry up and hand over what you found. Sunmating roared furiously. Damn, why were they not injured at all, and their clothes were spotless and clean, while they were covered in wounds and ragged clothes? It was really too unfair. Yeah. Do we know each other? What do you want us to hand over? Lung Ruoxue's face was full of curiosity. Of course it's the mission items you found. Hurry up and give it to us. Otherwise we'll teach you a lesson, Sunmating threatened fiercely. Why should we give you what we found? Lung Ruoxue asked in return. Well, she really couldn't understand this Miss Sun's thoughts. Did she really think they were pushovers? If not for you, why would we accept this lousy mission? It's all your fault, so be good and hand over the mission items you found. Otherwise, our Sun family won't let you go. Sunmating took it for granted that the woman in front of her had caused her to accept the mission. Therefore, she had to be responsible until the end. Miss Sun, are you an idiot? Did I ask you to take on a mission? Or do you think you still have the chance to leave after taking on this mission? Well, the Sun family probably won't have the chance to stand up for you anymore. I think you should stay here obediently, Lung Ruoxue said speechlessly. Alas, she really didn't know what the brains of these young ladies from noble families were made of. Why were their thoughts different from ordinary people? Damn it, I won't stay in this damn place, Sunmating roared angrily. Unfortunately, she was ignored by Lung Ruoxue and the others. Mississippi. At this moment, a guard gently pulled Sunmating's sleeve and whispered. Chapter 756. Different Treatment 1. What? Sunmating said irritably. Miss, don't anger them first. Let's clarify the mission, and then follow behind them to do the mission. After we complete the mission and leave this place, won't these people be at Miss Mercy? The guard reminded softly. In fact, he saw that Lung Ruoxue and the others were dressed clean, so he suspected that they had a special method to avoid the poisonous creatures here. So he thought of this method. Yes, what you said makes sense, Sunmating praised. Then she said to Lung Ruoxue and the others, I don't want your things now. Just tell me the contents of the mission. Lung Ruoxue looked at Sunmating with interest and couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Alas, this Sun family was really arrogant. They obviously wanted to ask for help, but their tone was still so unyielding. Did they really think they owed them? Everyone, we came down in a hurry, so we forgot to ask about the mission content. I hope you can tell us. A guard had to lower his stance and beg when he saw that Lung Ruoxue and the others didn't react for a while. However, he knew that his young miss didn't care to do such a thing. All right. The first mission is to gather 15 herbs at the bottom of Black Mist Cliff. The second mission is to crack an array formation. The location is also at the bottom of Black Mist Cliff. However, it will only appear after finding all the herbs. As for the third mission, I don't know either, Lung Ruoxue explained simply. Oh, thank you. May I know what the 15 herbs are? The guard asked very humbly. There are 10,000 root grass, snake-concealed flower, scorpion tail needle. Lung Ruoxue said with a light smile. These herbs were not common, and even alchemists might not know all of them. Therefore, she had already seen a big question mark on the faces of Sunmating and the others as expected. I hope Miss can tell us in detail, the guard said helplessly. Boo-hoo. What were these things? The 5 of them were puzzled. Told you in detail. Lung Ruoxia's face was full of innocence. The guard was depressed. They only knew the name of the herb, but they didn't even know if the herb was round or flat. How could they pick it up? Boo-hoo. Grandpa Do, let's continue looking. This antidote pill only has 24 hours of efficacy. We have to hurry. Lung Ruoxia said to the others after resting for a while. Okay. The little old man and the others hurriedly stood up when they heard that. Sun Mating and the others, who had just sat down and had yet to warm up, also hurriedly stood up. Continue resting. We've had enough, the little old man said with a smile. No need. We've had enough rest, the guard said hurriedly. What a joke. Where could they find these people if they continued resting? Boo. It was easy to find them. Just like that, Lung Ruoxia and the others walked in front while 5 Tails followed behind them. Sun Mating and the others followed Lung Ruoxia. And the others wherever they went. Sun Mating and the others also followed Lung Ruoxia and the others to pick herbs. In their opinion, whatever these people picked would definitely be needed for the mission. Unfortunately, wishes were beautiful, but reality was cruel. Lung Ruoxia and the others didn't care if it was a mission item. They would pluck anything that they felt was useful, or might be useful in the future. Sun Mating and the others would snatch it whenever they saw which herb they picked. However, what looked like it was not the same herb. Therefore, Sun Mating and the others didn't realize that what they picked was useless. Aren't there only 15 types? Why did they pick so many? Sun Mating, who was exhausted to death, couldn't help stopping and complaining. These people must have done it on purpose. They knew that they didn't know these herbs, but they picked so many. Miss, we have to follow quickly. Our mission won't be completed if we lose them, the guard reminded. Alas, they didn't know those herbs. Therefore, there was nothing they could do even if they plucked all the grass here. Oh no, why were those people surrounding each other? They would not be able to see what kind of herbs they were picking if they blocked them. The guard couldn't help being a little depressed when he saw Lung Ruoxia and the others forming a circle. However, he still thickened his skin and went forward, and he saw them picking a purple-red grass through the gap revealed in the middle of them. Swear, it's about time. The little old man said with a naughty smile after picking about half of the purple-red grass. Yes, we can't pluck all of them. We have to leave some for others. Lung Ruoxia said very kindly. The 5 of them continued forward after speaking. Sun Mating and the others swarmed forward and hurriedly plucked the purple grass when they saw Lung Ruoxia and the others leave. Suddenly, a scream sounded from someone's mouth. Immediately after, they heard the sound of fighting. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Schwer, looks like the battle is quite intense. Empty said with a smile as he listened to the banging sounds not far away. Okay, let's go back and take a look. Lung Ruoxia said with a light smile. Well, she couldn't lead the way for them for nothing. She had to collect some benefits. The benefits were naturally those poisonous creatures. After Lung Ruoxia and the others returned to the place where the purple grass grew, they saw a scorpion that had died lying on the ground. The scorpion was purple-red all over, and was the size of a millstone. Sun Mating and the others were sitting on the ground panting. After seeing the scorpion, little flame on Lung Ruoxia's wrist hurriedly crawled down from her hand, and used its sharp teeth to bite open the poisonous gland on the scorpion's tail. It sucked it as if it was tasting delicious, and even closed its eyes with a look of enjoyment. Damn it, we killed that scorpion. Sun Mating couldn't help roaring furiously when she saw a snake coming to share their spoils of war. She didn't want that ugly scorpion, but she couldn't let others take advantage of her. Unfortunately, Lung Ruoxia and the others ignored her words again. Chapter 757. Different treatment 2. After Little Flame was full, it licked its little mouth, then glared at Sun Mating in a show of force and crawled back to Lung Ruoxia's wrist. Then the few of them tore and left. Damn it. Sun Mating was so angry. Miss, calm down. Now isn't the time to lose your temper. Let's follow quickly. The guard hurriedly coaxed. Alas! He didn't want this eldest miss to offend those people. After all, they had to rely on them below. Okay. Sun Meiting nodded reluctantly. She might be willful, but she also knew that she couldn't do anything to Lung Ruoxue and the others here. So she had to bear with it no matter how angry she was. She would settle the score with those people after they went out. She calculated in her heart. And then the 5 of them immediately followed. However, Sun Meiting and the others were depressed the entire way because they were always attacked by poisonous creatures. For some reason, those poisonous creatures would always run out after Lung Ruoxue, and the others harvested the same herbs, even though everyone harvested the same herbs. It was really too despicable. What was even more infuriating was that the little red snake would come over to enjoy the fruits of their labor every time they exerted all their strength to kill the poisonous creatures. Schwer, this is the last place. Empty said with a light smile as he looked at the radius of 50 kilometers in front of him. Yes, we are still short of the last herb. I believe the second mission location will appear after we find it all. Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes swept the surrounding scenery. There was a deep pool here, and the water was so clear that the bottom could be seen. There were fish swimming in it from time to time. The fish were silver-white in color, and each of them was the size of an adult's 2 palms. They looked very fat and delicious, but Lung Ruoxue knew that these fish were also poisonous. However, it was precisely because they were poisonous that the taste was more delicious. Master, I'm going to catch fish. Fengwu looked at the fish in the pool. Okay, let's continue after dinner. Lung Ruoxue brought everyone to a relatively safe place to sit down after speaking. Alas! They had searched for almost a day, and the first mission was finally about to be completed. In order to complete the mission early, they didn't even have time to eat lunch, and they had to eat well for dinner. Before long, Fengwu had caught more than a dozen fat fish, and Lung Ruoxue and the others had started a fire. They prepared a pot, took out a few pieces of raw meat, and planned to grill them together. Sun Meiting and the others arrived at the last place at the bottom of the cliff in an extremely sorry state. They were so angry that they were about to explode when they saw Lung Ruoxue, and the others already starting a fire and cooking. Damn. They were working tirelessly behind, but these people were preparing to eat. Who allowed you to eat? You haven't found all the herbs yet. Sun Meiting roared angrily. Of course we have to eat if we're hungry. Otherwise, how can we have the stamina to deal with those poisonous creatures later? Lung Ruoxue reminded very kindly. There's more. Sun Meiting said gloomily. They had already killed many along the way, and were bitten many times. However, they showed no signs of being poisoned, and she attributed all this to the antidote pill they had eaten before descending the cliff. Of course there are. Don't tell me you think only the poisonous creatures you killed are down this cliff. Lung Ruoxue asked with a naughty smile. Alas! The poisonous creatures had already begun to become restless after Sun Meiting, and the others plucked all the food from the poisonous creatures. However, they still had concerns, so they didn't dare to attack in full force. This was also letting Sun Meiting and the others off easy. Otherwise, how could they have walked here alive? Miss, I'm going to catch fish too. The guard didn't dare to not believe Lung Ruoxue's words, so he volunteered. Okay. Sun Meiting was also afraid that a poisonous substance would run out to cause trouble for them, so she agreed without thinking. Seeing that Sun Meiting agreed, the guard led the other guard to catch fish like Fengwu. However, before they could catch the fish, they were bitten by the fish as food. The 2 of them were extraordinarily depressed looking at their fingers that were gradually turning black. Ooh, why was this? They were bitten by poisonous creatures while picking herbs, and the fish was bitten again. Why was nothing happening to them? Heaven was so unfair. However, what they didn't expect was that the matter of making them vomit blood was yet to come. Lung Ruoxue and the others had already begun picking herbs when Sun Meiting, and the others were done preparing the food. Miss, let's eat quickly. Our mission won't be completed if they pluck all the herbs. The guard reminded her with a petty heart as he looked at the 5 people picking herbs not far away. At this moment, he only wanted to complete the mission quickly, and had long forgotten that Lung Ruoxue and the others would not pluck all the herbs at all. What are you afraid of? Well, snatch them if we can't. Can't we deal with them with our strength? Sun Mating said nonchalantly. Don't blame me for being merciless if these people don't leave them alone. Miss, the mission isn't completed yet, so they can't die, the guard reminded. The bottom of the cliff might seem calm, but he could already feel that the things hiding in the dark had not really appeared yet. If Lung Ruoxue and the others were alive, they could help them block the danger at the critical moment. More importantly, these people seemed to be very confident in the mission, so it was even more impossible to let them die first. Yes, I know. Sun Mating was not stupid. She knew that before leaving this place, she could not touch Lung Ruoxue and the others no matter how much she hated them. Boo. They knew nothing about missions. They would not be able to leave this place without Lung Ruoxue. The freak who was picking herbs said helplessly as he looked at the malicious gaze not far away. Swear, they're playing dirty again. Yes, I know, however. We'll let them go on the account that they can lure Little Flame's food out. Lung Ruoxue said with a light smile. They were using each other anyway, so she didn't care what bad intentions Sun Mating and the others thought. Yes. Little Flame nodded vigorously in agreement after hearing Lung Ruoxue's words. Lass, it's about time. Leave the rest for them. The little old man blinked and said kindly. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Chapter 758 Different Treatment 3. Yes, Miss Sunday, we're done picking. The rest is for you. Lung Ruoxue brought everyone to rest after speaking. At least you know your place, Sun Mating said proudly. Then she led her subordinates to pluck the grass in a hurry. A moment later, everyone present heard a loud bang. Then the ground under their feet began to split apart, and countless giant scorpions, giant ants, and spiders surged up from the ground. Each of them was several times larger than the one Sun Mating and the others killed previously. At the same time, countless snakes crawled over from all directions and surrounded them. Damn it, where did these things come from? Sun Mating said with a tingling scalp. She hated these disgusting things the most, but the number of things in front of her was unimaginable. Miss, let's not act rashly. The 5 of us alone can't deal with these poisonous creatures. The guard reminded very implicitly. What he implied was that he wanted to join forces with Lung Ruoxue and the others. I know. Sun Mating raised her eyes and looked in Lung Ruoxue's direction. However, it was fine if she didn't look. She almost vomited blood when she saw it. Damn. What was going on? Why were there so many poisonous creatures around them while they only had 2 or 3 kittens? Damn it, why don't you surround them? Sun Mating couldn't help but fly into a rage out of humiliation and roar at the poisonous creatures surrounding her. However, when those poisonous creatures heard Sun Mating's words, their small eyes revealed looks as if they were looking at an idiot, and they couldn't help but grumble in their hearts. Damn. Do you think we're as stupid as you? Those people were not made of tofu. They could afford to offend them. Moreover, before coming, Boss had instructed that no matter who they provoked, they couldn't provoke that little red snake. Otherwise, they would bear the consequences themselves. Miss, calm down, the guard said with a headache. He couldn't help cursing in his heart. What a pig brain. He still wanted to offend her at this time. Calm down, my ass. Isn't this bullying? Sun Mating roared irrationally. With that, she wanted to rush in the direction of Lung Ruoxue and the others. However, before she could run, she was bitten by the giant poisonous scorpion closest to her several times. Ah, damn it. Sun Mating was angry. She waved the soft whip in her hand and injected mystic energy into it, attacking the scorpion that bit her. Pah! The weak scorpion died before it could retaliate. The poisonous creatures were angry when they saw their companions being killed in front of them. Ayo! Ayo! After a few howls, the poisonous creatures waved their giant claws that made cracking sounds and attacked Sun Mating and the others. There were many poisonous creatures, but their strength was not high. They were basically not at the level of a transcendent divine beast. Therefore, Sun Mating and the others were almost one at a time. Soon, the number of poisonous creatures decreased by a third. At this moment, Little Flame climbed down from Lung Ruoxia's wrist matter-of-factly and dashed to the battlefield to absorb the poisonous glands of the dead poisonous creatures without working. Xiaohua was absorbing happily, but Sun Meiting and the others were so tired that they vomited blood. The depression in their hearts was indescribable when they saw Lung Ruoxia and the others standing by the side watching the commotion. They really wanted to faint if possible. Unfortunately, they didn't dare to. If they really fainted, they would probably become food for these poisonous creatures in the next second. Schwer, when should we attack? Empty looked at the battle situation and asked. Wait a while more. The largest one isn't out yet. Lung Ruoxia reminded with a light smile. Well, they had to conserve their energy. It would be impossible to count on Sun Meiting and the others for the largest ones. Okay, let's watch the commotion then. Empty said with a smile. Then he turned his gaze to the center of the battle, and also glanced at the few scorpions surrounding them. The scorpions shrank their heads after sensing Empty's gaze, and tried their best to reduce their presence. These people were really too deceiving. They looked like small shrimps, but they were true great white sharks in their bones. They couldn't afford to offend them. With this in mind, the scorpions looked at each other and quietly slipped away. Woman in back. After some time, Little Flame, which was full, returned to Lung Ruoxia's side from the battlefield. At this moment, Sun Meiting and the others had also eliminated all the poisonous little minions. They were sitting on the ground, panting heavily from exhaustion. Yes, are you full? Lung Ruoxia looked at Little Fire's deflated belly doubtfully and asked curiously. No. Hehe. I've already digested the venom, Little Flame said proudly. A slightly cold voice immediately sounded in its ears just as it finished speaking. Human, how dare you kill our subordinates? You're dead meat. The one who spoke was a snake covered in black and covered in poisonous gas. This snake was nearly 100 meters in length and about 10 meters in width. Moreover, its gaze was cold and fierce. At this moment, it was staring at Sun Meiting and the others tightly. Not only that, but this snake was also a level 7 transcendent divine beast. On both sides of this snake were two huge black scorpions and spiders that were like small mountains. They were level 5 and level 6 transcendent divine beasts. There were many transcendent divine beasts behind them, but almost all were around level 2 or 3. Damn it, are you blind? They have a share too. Why are you only looking for us? The scarred Sun Meiting couldn't bear it anymore and roared at the snake, planning to drag Lung Ruoxia and the others into the water. Them? They didn't kill my subordinates. You killed them all. The cold snake's eyes rolled between Lung Ruoxia and Sun Meiting. Then the huge snake said, and at the same time, it pouted in its heart. Who didn't know that persimmons had to be pinched by the weak? It wanted to find trouble with the other 5, but it could not afford to. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. In fact, they also treated Lung Ruoxia and the others as food when they first descended to the bottom of the cliff. However, after careful discussion, they unanimously believed that those people could not be provoked, not because they saw the true strength of Lung Ruoxia and the others, but because of an animal's intuition and instinct. Chapter 759 Different Treatment for You. The snake's words almost made Sun Meiting faint. This was too much of a bully. She, who had always been arrogant, never dreamed that she would one day receive such unfair treatment. Moreover, it was the beast she hated the most. How could the proud her bear this? Damn it, you beasts, do you know who I am? In the midst of the Sun family. How dare you treat me like this? I won't let you go. Sun Meiting roared with a face full of anger. She was so angry that she even forgot that no matter how noble her status was, it was impossible for these poisonous creatures who had lived at the bottom of the cliff to recognize her. The Sun family? I've never heard of them. Sure enough, the poisonous creatures led by the giant snake blinked in confusion, their faces full of question marks. Big brother, it seems like she wants to use her identity to pressure us. Let's not talk nonsense with her. Hurry up and attack. The scorpion beside the giant snake said impatiently. Okay, avenge our subordinates. Go. The giant snake ordered, and the poisonous creatures beside it swarmed forward. As the poisonous creatures ran, the bottom of the cliff immediately became poisonous fog. In a few seconds, the scarred sun mating and the others disappeared. They didn't even have the time to ask for help. After a while, the poisonous fog dissipated, and Lung Ruoxue and the others could clearly see the poisonous creatures led by the giant snakes surrounding them. What? It's our turn now. Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes gently glanced at the giant snake, and said with a spurious smile, misunderstanding. You're mistaken. The giant snake was stunned, and then hurriedly tried to curry favor. Why else are you surrounding us? Lung Ruoxue asked in puzzlement. Then she raised a slender jade hand, and a small flame danced on her tender white fingertips. What a misunderstanding. Cold sweat rolled down the giant snake's body. Boo. The flame gave it so much pressure. It would probably be lying on the ground if it didn't forcefully hold on. Oh. Lung Ruoxue answered lightly and then fell silent. Didn't you already complete the first mission? I'm here to tell you the second mission location. The giant snake explained, its little heart trembling nonstop. Okay. Do you want to check my mission items? Lung Ruoxue raised her eyebrows slightly and asked calmly. No. There's no need. I believe in your credit. The giant snake said hurriedly. Those herbs were all their favorite food. However, they were all gone. Haha. Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but laugh after hearing what the giant snake said. The poisonous thing that even killed the mission person actually said that it believed her. Wasn't this very ridiculous? What are you laughing about? The giant snake asked in puzzlement. It knew that these humans were not afraid of it, but there was no need to laugh so happily. Little snake, our little fire is very interested in the poison in your bodies. Lung Ruoxue ignored the giant snake's question, and looked at the poisonous thing sneaking glances at her like a little wife in front of her with a light smile. What do you mean? The giant snake's brain couldn't keep up, and it couldn't help asking foolishly. Give me the poison in your bodies, Lung Ruoxue said bluntly. How can that be? The giant scorpion interrupted before the snake could answer. I'll give you two choices. One is to do it willingly, and the other is to do it ourselves. Empty said with a light smile. Can I choose the third one? The giant snake lowered its head and asked softly, but it couldn't help crying and cursing in its heart. Boo. This group of bandits. It was easy for them to accumulate some poison. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Little snakes, you don't have a third choice, and I don't want much. Just give half of the poison in your bodies to my little fire, Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Well, look at how kind she was. If it were others, they would probably have killed these poisonous creatures long ago. However, these poisonous beasts didn't attack them, so of course she wouldn't kill them herself. A beast with a master is a treasure. A beast without a master is like a blade of grass. The huge snake couldn't help but grumble in its heart. Then it raised its head and secretly looked at the little red snake that was not even as thick as an adult's finger, feeling abnormally depressed. It was obviously a little fellow more poisonous than them, but it still wanted to rob them. It was too much. You don't have to be reluctant. I can also share a little of the poison with you as an exchange. However, I'm afraid not many of you can bear my poison. Little Flame, which was coiled around Lung Ruoxue's wrist, said. I know. You can only give us 5. Forget the others, the giant snake said impatiently. It would be very beneficial to their strength if they could obtain this little red snake's poison. It couldn't even ask for such a good thing, so of course it was willing. Okay. Little Flame nodded and was about to open its little mouth to bite the giant snake, but Lung Ruoxue stopped it. Wait, little snake, tell us the location of the next mission first. Lung Ruoxue said hurriedly. Well, she didn't know if this snake could withstand Little Fire's poison, but who would tell them the location if Little Fire fainted from the poison? The second mission is under the pool, the giant snake said, and then motioned for Little Flame to begin. Little Flame nodded, and then bit the giant snake's poison sac. After absorbing almost half of the venom, it injected another drop of its poison into the giant snake's body, and did the same to the other 4 poisonous beasts. As for the others, it only absorbed half of their poison. After a long time, after absorbing the toxins, Little Flame crawled unsteadily back to Lung Ruoxia's wrist. Then it looked up at her and said, "Woman, I'm going to advance." Advance? When? Lung Ruoxia said in surprise. It usually didn't see how Little Flame cultivated, so why did it advance just like that? Immediately, Little Flame transformed into a red light and ran to a spacious place to prepare to advance after speaking. Before long, the heaven-earth laws descended into the abyss. After advancing, Little Flame crawled back onto Lung Ruoxia's wrist proudly. Lung Ruoxia held Little Flame in her hand and observed it carefully. Well, why didn't this Little Flame grow up at all after advancing? Instead, it became smaller and smaller. Moreover, its body became more and more translucent, beautiful and dazzling. Chapter 760 Advanced Antidote Pill 1 Hee. Woman, am even more beautiful. Little Flame said proudly. This was the first time it advanced since birth. Little Flame, what's your current strength? Lung Ruoxia asked curiously. There really wasn't much difference apart from becoming more beautiful after this Little Flame advanced. Strength? What do you need strength for? Little Flame blinked its ruby-like beautiful eyes, its face full of question marks. Pretend I didn't ask, Lung Ruoxia said gloomily. Ehe. Woman just want poison, Little Flame said with a face full of pride. Then it looked at the 5 big poisonous creatures who were dozing off and pondered in secret. Well, if they bit it after advancing, these poisonous creatures would probably have died long ago. Oh, let's go to the pool to complete the second mission. Lung Ruoxia said to the freak, and the others seeing that Little Flame's matter was resolved. Okay. Everyone nodded and then walked toward the pool. Lung Ruoxia and the others watched carefully by the pool, looking for the entrance. Master, I think something is amiss there, Fengwu said after observing it with the unique secret technique of the Phoenix clan. Lung Ruoxia looked in the direction Fengwu was pointing. The bottom of the pool was covered with rocks, and the 2 pieces Fengwu chose seemed to be slightly different in color. However, they would not be discovered at all if she didn't look carefully. At this point, she sent a stream of mystic power to hit the 2 rocks. In an instant, the pool sank, and a secret room was exposed in front of them. Schwer, should we go down? Empty looked at the pitch-black secret room and asked. Yes. Lung Ruoxia nodded. Master, I'll go down first, Fengwu said and then ignited her vital flame. This way, they wouldn't be hurt even if there was any danger down there. Fengwu led the way up the stairs, Lung Ruoxia and the others following closely behind. The door of the secret room closed as soon as they entered. Schwer, looks like we can forget about leaving this place if we can't break through the array. Empty teased with a light smile as he looked at the closed door of the secret chamber. Yes. Lung Ruoxia nodded, and then looked at the secret room in front of her. The walls of this secret room were embedded with night pearls, illuminating the secret room as if it was daytime. The entire secret room was not big, and there were no items for missions inside. There was an array formation on one of the walls of the secret room. Well, this should be the exit. Lung Ruoxia and the others came to the wall covered with array formations and observed. Lass, I know nothing about array formations. I can only rely on you, the little old man said helplessly. In fact, array formations were not prevalent on the boundless heaven continent. Therefore, very few people specially studied them. Therefore, array formations had almost been lost long ago. Lung Ruoxia nodded and looked at the array formation in front of her. Well, this array formation was a little familiar. She should have seen it in the array formation collection left behind by her master. What was its name again? Lung Ruoxia searched her memory. She remembered that this array formation was called the illusionary array. It was an array formation that combined reality and illusion. Moreover, if she remembered correctly, this array formation should be an advanced array formation. Not many people could set it up. She didn't expect to see it here. However, this array should only be considered a simple illusionary array. Schwer, is this array easy to break? Empty asked curiously. He was also an array formation idiot. However, he knew that Schwer had specially studied it. Therefore, he was not very worried that they would be trapped here. It's not difficult as long as we find the array core, Lung Ruoxue said, and then carefully searched the array formation. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. The freak and the others naturally didn't dare to disturb Lung Ruoxue when they saw that her thoughts were on the array formation. After more than 10 minutes, Lung Ruoxue finally discovered the abnormality and said happily to everyone, "Found it, it's here." Everyone immediately looked over, but they didn't find anything different from the places Schwer mentioned. Take a closer look. There is spiritual energy flowing on the array formation, and the direction and speed of spiritual energy flowing here are slightly different from other places, so I'm sure this is the eye of the array formation, Lung Ruoxue said confidently. With that, she released a stream of mystic power to strike the location of the array formation. Immediately, the array formation on the wall disappeared, and the exit was revealed in front of everyone. "This array doesn't look that difficult," the little old man said in puzzlement. "Hehe, Grandpa do. This array is called the illusionary array. However, it can only be considered simple. The true illusionary array's eyes are not so easy to find, so we picked up a bargain," Lung Ruoxue explained with a light smile. "Oh, no wonder. However, no matter what, the second mission is finally completed. Let's leave this place quickly," the little old man urged. It felt gloomy here, and he didn't want to stay any longer. "Okay, let's go." Lung Ruoxue nodded, and then everyone left. After the array formation of the secret chamber was unlocked, Hong Ying, who was in the hall at the back of Black Mist Cliff, immediately sensed it. Lung Ruoxue and the others have unlocked the array formation. Hong Ying looked at the other three people. "Really?" The three of them hurriedly stood up in surprise. "Okay." Hong Ying nodded. That array formation might only be a simple illusionary array, but there were almost no people in this world who could unlock it. Thinking of this, he couldn't help paying more attention to Lung Ruoxue and the others. Alas, he didn't know if they could complete the last mission? The last mission? She hesitated, but the other three understood what she meant. "Don't worry. My intuition tells me that they can definitely do it," Xiaofan said. In fact, he was not too confident. "Go do what you have to do. The last mission will probably take a long time," Hong Ying said. Then he was the first to get up and leave the hall. At the same time, Lung Ruoxue and the others found themselves in another secret room after coming out of the exit. This secret room was very spacious. There was a table and 5 chairs in it, as if they were specially prepared for them. Moreover, the spiritual energy in the secret room was very abundant. Chapter 761 Advanced Antidote Pill 2. Where is this place? The little old man's face was full of question marks. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue picked up a jade slip on the table and sent her divine sense into it. "We want to complete the third mission here," Lung Ruoxue explained after reading it. "What's the third mission?" The little old man and the others were very curious. "Refined pills, divine level antidote pills," Lung Ruoxue said softly. But she was depressed in her heart because she had never refined divine level pills at all. Alas! Wasn't this making things difficult for them? Moreover, they had prepared food for them for countless years, presumably prepared to work hard for a long time. What? The little old man was shocked, thinking that he had heard it wrong. "Grandpa do. The third mission is to refine a divine-ranked antidote pill. Moreover, it has to be at least an intermediate divine pill and above." Lung Ruoxue explained very clearly this time. As far as she knew, divine-ranked pills were different from the pills they knew now. Even the same divine-ranked pill was divided into elementary, intermediate, advanced, holy and the best pill kings. Most of the divine-ranked pills were only elementary even if they were successfully refined. In order to refine better quality pills, one had to have more herbs, heaven, earth, people, and none could be lacking. "Lass, whether we can go out this time will all depend on you," the little old man said helplessly. Alas, a divine-level pill. Other alchemists might not know, but he knew very well that if they refined a divine-level pill, They needed to have two elements. First, they had to have the intrinsic divine flame. Second, they had to have sufficient spiritual energy to support them. Therefore, alchemists in this world might not be able to refine divine pills, even if they had the intrinsic divine flame. The main reason was that the spiritual energy in their bodies was insufficient. Grandpa Do, I've never refined a divine pill before either, Lung Ruoxue reminded. It's okay. Your hopes are the greatest, the little old man said with a smile. Last, he asked us to refine antidote pills. Does he have a pill formula? What about herbs? The little old man continued asking. Yes, not only do we have pill formulas, but we also have herbs and food, so we will probably stay here for a long time, Lung Ruoxue said speechlessly. Alas! Everyone she could think of had thought of it. What else could she say? She really regretted taking this mission now. Why were you so curious about the bottom of Black Mist Cliff for no reason? Great, she was trapped here now. Suddenly, a loud bang attracted the attention of Lung Ruoxue and the others. Empty, what are you doing? Cold sweat broke out on Lung Ruoxue's forehead as she asked in puzzlement. Hee. I'll try to see if this wall is sturdy, Empty explained. Then he attacked the wall with mystic energy again and again. Empty, don't waste your energy. That wall won't break, Lung Ruoxue said speechlessly. Alas! Why was Empty so childish? Is this wall made of millennium meteoric iron? Empty asked curiously. No, it's 10,000-year-old black iron, Lung Ruoxue said. Oh, no wonder. Empty stared at the entire wall with shining eyes, thinking how good it would be if he could steal a piece. Empty, don't have any ideas about that wall. Let's think about what you will do in the future. Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. What else can we do? We can't go out again. Boo-hoo, Empty said gloomily. Then he looked at Lung Ruoxue with tears in his starry eyes, his eyes obviously saying it's up to you. You can enter the space, Lung Ruoxue reminded kindly. Okay, I'll enter the space and stay there. Empty said after some thought. Okay, what about you? Lung Ruoxue looked at the freak and the others and asked. TLL accompany you. The freak was the first to express his opinion. Lass, I'll accompany you too, the little old man said. Master, I'll go into my space. Fengwu said. Well, she couldn't help much outside, so it was better to cultivate in her space. Okay. Lung Ruoxue nodded, sent Empty and Fengwu into the space, and moved Zheng In out. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Miss, do you want to refine a divine pill? Zheng In asked excitedly. It's not me, it's us, Lung Ruoxue said with a light smile. Miss, I can't, Zheng In said hurriedly. Boo. His spiritual energy was not enough to refine divine pills. It's okay. I've prepared spirit fruits for you, Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Hee, she had thought about it, so she couldn't allow Zheng In to refuse. Moreover, Zheng In, this is a good opportunity to practice. We don't need our own herbs. What are you afraid of? Lung Ruoxue said with a naughty smile. Are those herbs enough for the two of us to practice? Zheng In was a little tempted. He naturally didn't want to let go of such a good opportunity like others providing herbs. However, if there were too few herbs, it was better to let Miss practice. After all, Miss' chances of successfully refining the divine pill were much higher than his. Don't worry, it's definitely enough, Lung Ruoxue said mysteriously. Then she picked up the storage ring on the table and handed one to Zheng In. Hee. The herbs in this ring were enough for them to cultivate for a few years. Zheng In took the ring and sent his divine sense in. Then he revealed a face full of joy and said, Hee, miss, I will practice well. After speaking, the two of them each occupied a corner and began refining pills. A month later, Lung Ruoxue and Zheng In were still practicing nonstop. Moreover, they had refined more than 1,000 times in the past month, but they had never succeeded once. The freak and the little old man sat in chairs, drinking tea and chatting. However, none of them dared to speak loudly for fear of disturbing the two of them in their alchemy. Alas! It's been a month. I don't know how long more will it take to succeed. The freak sighed softly, his stunning face full of depression. Let's wait slowly. It's not ordinary difficult to refine a divine-level pill in this world. Fortunately, the concentration of spiritual energy in this secret room is not bad. Otherwise, it's impossible to refine a divine-level pill, the little old man explained softly. Okay. The freak nodded and then locked his gaze firmly on Schwer. 3 months later, Lung Ruoxua looked at the ruined medicinal dregs in the pill furnace in front of her, and was depressed. Ooh, she actually failed again. She had lost count of how many times. Chapter 762 Advanced Antidote Pill 3. Schwer, rest for a while. The freak walked to Schwer's side and said with concern. Okay. Lung Ruoxua nodded. Then she hugged the freak and said aggrievedly. It's been so long, but I haven't even refined an elementary divine pill. Hee, luckily it's not your medicinal herb. Otherwise, how heartbroken would it be? The freak reminded with a naughty smile. Oh, that's true. Lung Ruoxua's mood improved significantly at this point. After speaking, Lung Ruoxua pulled the freak to Zheng En's side and carefully observed. At this moment, Zheng En was at the most critical stage of condensing pills. Moreover, he was afraid that he would not be able to supply spiritual energy, so he kept stuffing spirit fruits into his mouth. Lung Ruoxua and the freak couldn't help breathing when they saw this scene. Alas! Another failure. Not long later, the charred smell of the herbs emitted from the pill furnace. Zheng En knew that he had failed again. It was really a pity. Everything was fine before, but he kept failing at this step. This was really depressing. Miss, when did you come? Did you succeed? Zheng En suddenly looked up and unintentionally saw his miss, and couldn't help asking expectantly. Alas! I failed too, Lung Ruoxua said gloomily. Take it slow. How can a divine pill be refined so easily? The little old man walked over and comforted her. Okay, Zheng En, let's work hard together. Lung Ruoxua encouraged. Then she kissed the freak's face gently, and returned to concoct pills obediently. Another month passed. Lung Ruoxua, who had been in the secret room for 4 months, finally refined a divine-level antidote. Let me see it quickly. The little old man, who had been waiting by the side, snatched the pill impatiently as soon as Lung Ruoxua's pill was out. As expected of a divine-level pill, it's actually covered in traces of spiritual energy. The little old man's eyes lit up as if he was looking at his beloved. Grandpa Du, that's only an elementary divine pill. Our mission requirement is above the intermediate level. Lung Ruoxua reminded. Alas! It took 4 months before she refined an elementary divine pill. The intermediate level. It was really a long way to go. The elementary level is also a divine pill. It's better than nothing. Give this pill to me. The little old man said shamelessly and then directly stored the pill in his ring. Master, you're too much. Why didn't you tell me? Zheng En pretended to be displeased. Didn't you see it? Hurry up and go back to refine your divine pill, the little old man urged. Humph. So stingy. Zheng En said angrily and walked back very reluctantly. Although it took 4 months, being able to refine a divine pill instantly boosted Lung Ruoxua's confidence. Therefore, she decided to continue working hard and strive to refine an intermediate divine pill as soon as possible. After that, Lung Ruo continued to refine divine pills. However, what she refined was still elementary because she had to increase the success rate of elementary divine pills to more than 50% before she could begin to refine intermediate divine pills. Even then, she only had a 25% chance of refining intermediate divine pills. Moreover, even if she used an intermediate pill formula, she might still be able to refine elementary divine pills. With the stimulation of Lung Ruoxua's elementary divine pill, Zheng En finally refined his first elementary antidote pill 2 months later. Zheng En was so happy that he couldn't even speak as he looked at the divine-level pill in his hand, which was light blue and had spiritual energy entangled in it. He just smiled foolishly. Stinky brat, don't be too beautiful. Schwer has already begun refining intermediate divine pills. You have to hurry. Otherwise, you'll be too behind. The little old man reminded Zheng En as he gently patted his head. If you have problems with this website, Please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Master, Miss is a pervert. I can't compare to her. Zheng En said spinelessly. Boo. Why were they comparing him to Miss? Wasn't this bullying? Useless stinky brat, can you have some ambition? The little old man roared, even though he knew that what his disciple said was the truth. Well, that girl was born to deal a blow. Okay, master, I'll continue then, Zheng En said. Then he lowered his head and fiddled with the herbs in his hand. Another 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. Lung Ruoxua looked at the pill furnace in front of her gloomily. At this moment, there were 10 light blue pills lying in the middle of the pill furnace, but not one was what she needed. Now the success rate of her refining elementary antidote pills could already reach more than 80%. Moreover, she was very satisfied with the number of pills she refined, but she was still unable to refine intermediate divine pills. Alas! It really made her speechless. After being depressed, Lung Ruoxua picked up the herbs defiantly and continued refining. She didn't believe that she couldn't refine an intermediate antidote divine pill. Lung Ruoxua threw herbs into the pill furnace again and again, refining, purifying, condensing, and tempering. She did it very carefully step by step, but the final pills she refined were always unable to meet the requirements. Just like that, the cycle repeated again and again. Lung Ruo's success rate in refining the elementary antidote pill could already reach 100%. And this almost used up another 2 months. Rest for a while. The little old man came to Lung Ruoxia's side and said with concern, Alas! They had stayed here for almost a year. The girl and her foolish disciple were about to become alchemists. They kept refining pills day and night. Fortunately, they had spiritual fruits to support them. Otherwise, they would have probably exhausted their spiritual energy long ago. Alas! Refining pills was also a labor of strength. Yes, Grandpa, do how's Zheng En's refinement going? Lung Ruoxua asked with concern. Boo. She seemed to have not left the pill furnace for a long time. Not bad. The success rate of elementary antidote pills can already reach 50%. The little old man said with satisfaction. Oh, that's good. Lung Ruoxua said happily. Then she chatted with the freak for a while, and continued refining pills. After refining for another 9 times, Lung Ruoxua looked at the light blue pill in the furnace and sighed softly. Alas! Deity-level pills were so difficult. After refining for so long, the quality of her current pills still couldn't reach the intermediate level. However, the quality was a little higher than the elementary level. Thinking of this, her confidence increased a little. Chapter 763 Advanced Antidote Pill 4, half a month later. When Lung Ruoxua threw the herbs into the pill furnace again, and did every step to the extreme, for some reason, she had a premonition that the chance of success this time was very high. So after condensing the pills and tempering, her eyes stared intently at the pill furnace. The freak and the little old man, who felt that something was amiss, were also attracted. However, neither of them dared to make a sound and also stared at the pill furnace intently like Lung Ruoxua. After a while, the unique fragrance of the pills emerged from the pill furnace. The 3 of them knew that the pill refinement was successful, but whether it could reach the intermediate level was unknown. Schwer, open the pill furnace and take a look, the little old man urged impatiently. Lung Ruoxua found herself a little nervous. After all, she felt very good this time, but she was also a little scared. Don't be afraid. If it's not an intermediate one at most, I'll refine it again, the little old man comforted. However, just as the little old man finished speaking, suddenly, boom! Several loud bangs sounded in the sky above the secret room. This sudden sound shocked the few people who were not mentally prepared. What's this sound? Is there thunder? The little old man said in surprise. Grandpa, this secret room is made of 10,000-year-old black iron. You can't even hear thunder, Lung Ruoxua said helplessly. However, just as she finished speaking, the pill furnace shook uneasily, as if it was very scared. Big sister, it's pill tribulation, Qingju said via voice transmission from the bracelet. Pill tribulation? Qingju, are you sure? Lung Ruoxue sent a voice transmission in surprise. Yes. Qingju nodded with certainty. Usually, pills or artifacts that could cause heavenly tribulation when successfully refined were not ordinary. Qingju said that the lightning just now was a pill tribulation. Lung Ruoxue told the little old man, and the freak what Qingju told her. After speaking, she opened the pill furnace. However, as soon as she opened the pill furnace, the deep blue pill lying in the middle of the furnace obediently ran into her hand. At this moment, a message came from her mind. Advanced Antidote Pill. ADV. Advanced? Lung Ruoxue was speechless. She had concocted it countless times, but she only wanted to concoct an intermediate antidote divine pill. However, who knew that the intermediate didn't succeed, and instead concocted an advanced pill? This was too unbelievable. However, she was also a little depressed. Why couldn't she concoct the elementary and advanced pill formulas for the intermediate antidote? Pill tribulation. Last, I heard from Grandmaster that only pills above the intermediate stage of the divine pill might have a pill tribulation. Could it be that the pill you just refined has reached the intermediate stage of the divine pill? The little old man said with a face full of joy. This pill was a little different from the previous one. However, the dark blue divine pill in her hand became unhappy before Lung Ruoxue could answer the little old man. The pill floated from Lung Ruoxue's hand and came to the little old man. It circled him a few times and then knocked into his forehead. After doing all this, the pill slowly returned to Lung Ruoxue's hand and rubbed against it coquettishly. Swear, it actually hit me, the little old man said dumbfoundedly. Boo. He was actually attacked by a pill. No one would believe it if news of this got out. Lung Ruoxue was a little speechless seeing the pill's human-like behavior. Alas! Why was this pill so spiritual? Grandpa Do, it's an advanced divine pill. It's unhappy that you said it's intermediate. Lung Ruoxue explained helplessly as she looked at the protesting pill in her hand. It's actually advanced. No wonder. Boo. I don't know. The little old man said aggrievedly. Grandpa Do, it said it forgave you. Lung Ruoxue translated for the pill. Alas. She didn't know how she knew the meaning of a pill, but she knew. Lass, does it understand what we mean? The little old man's face was full of surprise. This was really strange every year, especially this year. I'll understand. It also said that it doesn't want to be eaten. Lung Ruoxue said with a slight headache. She couldn't help muttering to herself as she looked at the pill in her hand that kept acting coquettishly. Could this still be considered a pill? Then what should we do? We still have to use it to submit the mission, the little old man said awkwardly. However, he was hit by the divine pill again as soon as he finished speaking. It hit me again? The little old man said gloomily with a long face. Grandpa Do, I'm refining an intermediate divine pill. Lung Ruoxue said. Qingju had also reminded her not to use this pill to complete the mission. Okay, then refine another one, the little old man hurriedly said, not wanting to be beaten again. The dark blue pill circled around them happily, and then obediently stayed in Lung Ruoxue's hand after hearing what they said. Lung Ruoxue sent the pill into the bracelet and handed it to Qingju for safekeeping. Then she continued to concoct the pill resignedly. However, Lung Ruoxue's pills became more and more convenient since she refined this advanced divine pill. She only refined it more than 10 times, but the success rate of the intermediate divine pill actually reached 50%. Moreover, another advanced divine pill appeared, but the pill tribulation did not descend again. Last year's success rate is really strange. The little old man, who had been watching by the side, said speechlessly, if you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Yes. Seems like that pill is indeed different. I didn't succeed in refining an intermediate divine pill once before it, but the success rate later became so high. Lung Ruoxue looked at the intermediate pill in the furnace, and was also surprised. Well, this success rate was really abnormal. It was only more than a dozen times, but the success rate was actually above 50%. Who knew how many alchemists would want to die if news of this got out? No matter what, We can finally leave this place, the little old man said happily. His disciple had yet to refine an intermediate divine pill, but the success rate of an elementary divine pill had improved a lot. Well, he was very satisfied. Okay. Lung Ruoxue nodded. She didn't expect to stay here for almost a year. Chapter 764 Advanced Antidote Pill 5. Lass, I'm going to see that silly disciple. Pack up your things and then we'll leave, the little old man said. Then he ran to his disciple's side to watch. Lung Ruoxue packed up and came to Zheng En's side with the freak. Zheng En's furnace of pills had already reached the last step, so the four of them waited very patiently. After the medicinal fragrance drifted out of the furnace, Zheng En directly opened the pill furnace, TS Intermediate. Hee, foolish disciple, you also succeeded, the little old man said happily as he looked at the blue pill in the furnace. Hee, I succeeded. Zheng En smiled foolishly, a little at a loss. Congratulations. Lung Ruoxue said happily. Hee, thank you, Mississippi. I didn't expect me to be able to refine a divine level pill too. Zheng En said with a face full of gratitude. Silly boy, don't be too beautiful. Hurry up and pack up. We're going out, the little old man urged with a smile. Hee, his disciple had refined an intermediate divine pill. He was also proud as his master. Yes. Zheng En carefully put away the intermediate antidote pill he refined, and then began to pack his things neatly. Miss, I'm done, Zheng En said after cleaning up. Okay. Lung Ruoxue nodded, then sent Zheng En back to the space and moved Empty and Feng Wu out. Schwer, how are we going to get out? Empty looked around and said helplessly. Lung Ruoxue looked at Empty, then picked up the jade slip on the table, crushed it and said, let's just wait. Is that so? Empty couldn't help rolling his eyes. He thought to himself, who did they learn this move from? A few minutes later, a door opened on a wall in the secret room. Lung Ruoxue and the others walked out seeing this. After Lung Ruoxue and the others walked out of the secret room, they found themselves outside the door of a hall. Xiao Fan appeared in front of them as the door slowly opened. Hee, you came out so quickly. Please come in. Big brother is waiting for you. Xiao Fan said warmly. Brat, we've been in there for almost a year. How is it fast? The little old man said speechlessly. It's indeed very fast. It's too normal to stay inside for 10 or 100 years. Xiao Fan smiled. In fact, he had something else to say, that only you would succeed. The little old man was speechless. It seemed like they were really fast. However, if he was trapped inside himself, he probably wouldn't be able to come out for 100 years. Hee, follow me. Xiao Fan led the way after speaking, and Lung Ruoxue and the others followed him into the hall. In the hall, Hong Ying and the others were sitting in chairs waiting for Lung Ruoxue and the others. The three of them stood up and bowed slightly when they saw them arrive. Congratulations, Miss Lung and the others for completing our mission, Hong Ying said, hiding his excitement. How did you know that we completed the mission? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. Well, she had asked Qingju before. The secret room was very safe and was not monitored. We saw the pill tribulation, Hong Ying said honestly. When they noticed the heavenly tribulation, they knew that the antidote pills above the intermediate level had been successfully refined. Oh, Lung Ruoxue answered lightly, but the doubts in her heart became deeper and deeper. Who were they? How did they know about the alchemy tribulation? One had to know that even alchemists might not know so much about the alchemy tribulation. And she was very sure that there were no alchemists among them. Hee, Miss Lung, you don't have to think too much. We don't have any ill intentions. However, it's not convenient to reveal our identities. You will know if you have the chance in the future. Hong Ying explained calmly after seeing Lung Ruoxue's doubts. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Lung Ruoxue naturally wouldn't force him since he didn't want to say it. However, there were some questions she wanted to ask clearly. Thinking of this, she couldn't help asking. If there are no alchemists among us, I want to know how to complete the third mission? You can't complete the third mission without an alchemist. However, don't you have one among you? Hong Ying said calmly. What if we don't? Lung Ruoxue asked through gritted teeth. Then we can only stay inside forever. Moreover, the chance of death is very high. Hong Ying said very coldly. Miss Lung, our missions are all voluntary. Moreover, I've known about your information since you decided to take on the mission. Moreover, if I don't think someone can complete our mission, we will usually warn him. If he doesn't listen and insists on courting death, then we can't do anything. Xiao Fan shrugged helplessly. Why didn't you tell the person on the third mission what the third mission was before you did the mission? This was the most infuriating thing about Lung Ruoxue. In her opinion, these people were doing it on purpose. Because if others knew the content of the third mission, no one would definitely take this mission, not even her. After all, she didn't want to be trapped in the secret room forever. You are not qualified to know the third mission if you don't complete the first two missions, Hong Ying said coldly. Is that so? Isn't it because you're afraid that no one will be willing to accept this mission? Empty said with a light smile. The missions we set, even the easiest, are not something ordinary mystics can complete, so not many people chose to do the missions. For so many years, only 10 groups of people chose the missions, including you. 3 of them entered the third mission, and there were alchemists in all 3 groups. However, only you succeeded, Hong Ying explained lightly. And you have the shortest time, Flood Eagle added. We used almost a year. Lung Ruoxue reminded through gritted teeth. A year is not long for cultivators, Hong Ying said with a faint smile. I have other things to do, Lung Ruoxue continued. I know. You're going to the Dragon Clan. By the way, the dragon race is also looking for you all over the world. It's said that the 5th elder of the dragon race is dead. Hong Ying gloated. Chapter 765 Old Friends Meet 1. Oh, that's good, Lung Ruoxue said calmly. Miss Lung, hand the pill to me and you can leave. Hong Ying said very understandingly. Okay. Lung Ruoxue thought for a while, then took out the white jade bottle containing the advanced Antidote divine pill, and handed it to Hong Ying. In fact, she originally wanted to take the intermediate one, but she didn't expect him to actually know pill tribulation, so she couldn't use the intermediate one to report. After all the herbs were provided by him. It's actually an advanced Antidote divine pill. Hong Ying opened the jade bottle, and after seeing the divine pill inside, his handsome face couldn't help revealing a trace of surprise. Surprised? It was really too unexpected. He never dreamed that it was actually an advanced divine pill. It seemed like this world was really full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. His gaze at Lung Ruoxue and the others became even deeper when he saw this divine pill. Yes, it was purely an accident, Lung Ruoxue said very modestly. Miss Lung, I'm very satisfied with this mission item. This is your reward. Hong Ying handed her a storage ring after speaking. Lung Ruoxue took the ring and sent her divine sense in. It was fine if she didn't see it, but what she saw scared her because there were many crystals of various facets neatly placed in addition to countless herbs and refining materials in the ring. There were so many that she was speechless. Miss Lung, are you satisfied with our remuneration? Hong Ying asked with a light smile. Yes, I'm very satisfied. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Well, she didn't expect to receive remuneration after completing the mission. This was unexpected before she completed the mission. It's good that you're satisfied. Take this token. It should be useful in the future. Hong Ying handed him a purple gold token and reminded him. Oh. Lung Ruoxue took the token doubtfully. This token was very heavy. There was a majestic tiger on the front, and 3 words City Lord token was engraved on the back. Well, she didn't know which city this was from, but she still stored the token and the ring in the bracelet. Xiao Fan, send Miss Lung and the others out. Hong Ying ordered. Yes, Xiao Fan answered. Then he said to Lung Ruoxue and the others, Miss Lung, should we fetch your subordinates? Yes. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Lung Ruoxue's forehead. She braced herself. She didn't forget to tell Xiao Fan before she did the mission that her subordinates were in seclusion. Boo. Then let's go. I'll send you out after picking them up. Xiao Fan smiled and led the way. Lung Ruoxue and the others following closely behind. Soon Lung Ruoxue and the others walked to the yard they had once stayed in. Outside the yard, Lung Ruoxue blocked Xiao Fan, who was about to enter, and said, "Butler Xiao, please wait here for a while. We'll go in and get someone." "Okay," Xiao Fan said obediently and watched Lung Ruoxue and the others enter the yard. After more than 10 minutes, Lung Ruoxue and the others walked out of the yard in a grandiose manner. "Butler Xiao, let's go," Lung Ruoxue said with a light smile. "Okay." Xiao Fan nodded, and then led Lung Ruoxue and the others through the secret path and out of Black Mist Cliff. On the other side of Black Mist Cliff, Xiao Fan stopped and cupped his hands at Lung Ruoxue and the others. "Miss Lung, you have already left the range of Black Mist Cliff. I want to see you out." "Okay, thank you, Butler Xiao." Lung Ruoxue thanked him, and then left with everyone. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. On the way to the Dragon Clan, the freak sat on the little peacock's back, seemingly deep in thought and not saying a word. "Freak, what are you thinking? You're so immersed in your thoughts." Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. "Swear, did you notice that much of the thick fog in Black Mist Cliff seemed to have dissipated when we left just now?" the freak asked. "Yes, fool, don't think about it. That Black Mist Cliff obviously has many secrets, so let's not look for trouble." Lung Ruoxue pinched the freak's beautiful face lightly. "Swear, you're taking advantage of me again." The freak pouted slightly and pretended to be displeased. "If I don't eat your tofu, whose do I eat?" Lung Ruoxue teased. "Yes, only mine," the freak said domineeringly and hugged Swear tightly. "Lass, don't be so mushy. Tell me quickly, what remuneration did Black Mist Cliff give us?" the little old man asked curiously. "Grandpa do, I thought you didn't want to know," Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. "Who said I don't want to know? I've been enduring it for a long time. I was too embarrassed to ask at Black Mist Cliff just now," the little old man said honestly. "Hee, the remuneration Black Mist Cliff gave us. There are herbs, refining materials, and many crystals," Lung Ruoxue explained simply. "Really? How many are there?" the little old man asked happily. "Oh, a lot. There are many I don't know among them, but I've handed them all to Qingju to handle," Lung Ruoxue said. "Lass, quickly send me into the space." "I'll take a look," the little old man said impatiently. "Okay." Lung Ruoxue sent the anxious little old man in with a thought. Not long after the little old man entered, Lung Ruoxue felt the little peacock stop and couldn't help asking, "Little peacock, what's the matter?" "Miss, a dragon is blocking the way," the little peacock complained. "Well, tell it that good dragons don't block the way," Lung Ruoxue said lightly. Hee. It seemed like the dragons were about to arrive. Lung Ruoxue's words had already entered the ears of the dragon, blocking their way even without the little peacock's recount. The dragon was immediately angry when it heard this. "How dare you humans hide your head and show your tail? In front of you is the territory of our dragon clan, prohibiting passage." As Lung Ruoxue and the others had installed a tent on the little peacock's back, the dragon did not know who was sitting on the little peacock's back. However, it was very sure that the people inside the tent were humans. "We are going to the Dragon Clan." Lung Ruoxue's cold voice sounded from the tent again. "We dragons don't welcome humans," the dragon said without giving him any face. "I'm Lung Ruoxue. Haven't you dragons been looking for me? I came knocking on your door today." Lung Ruoxue introduced herself. Chapter 766. Old Friends Meet Too. "Ah, you are Lung Ruoxue?" The dragon was stunned, and then it immediately roared at the top of its lungs. "Lung Ruoxue is here. Lung Ruoxue is here to cause a scene." After shouting, the dragon flew away as if its butt was on fire. Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but be at a loss for words after hearing what the dragon said. Well, who could tell her what was going on? Haha. Seeing Lung Ruoxue's confused face, Empty laughed hysterically. He only said happily after he was done laughing, "Swear, I didn't expect your power to become stronger and stronger. Impressive." Miss, don't take it to heart. That dragon is too timid. Fengwu comforted her when she saw her master's grim face. It's just a disconnected dragon. I want care. However, the dragons should know that we're here now, right? Lung Ruoxua asked uncertainly. They definitely know. They might be preparing to deal with us. The freak said with a smile. Oh, Fengwu, are the dragons of this world smart? Lung Ruoxua asked curiously. Not very smart. Master, don't worry. Those old farts from the dragon clan are sleeping too. Fengwu said with certainty. She didn't have a deep relationship with the dragon clan, but she knew that the dragon clan was in a similar situation as the phoenix race. Miss, the dragons are here. At this moment, the little peacock's voice floated into their ears. Okay. Lung Ruoxua walked out of the tent, and first saw nearly 100 dragons flying in the air opposite them. Each dragon was like a small mountain. Not only that, its huge dragon eyes burned with raging anger, and its huge nostrils kept spurting out coarse air. Is this considered a welcome? Lung Ruoxua stood on the little peacock's back and said with a smile. Welcome my ass. Lung Ruoxua, quickly hand over our clansmen. A golden dragon roared furiously. Aren't your clansmen all here? What do you want from me? Lung Ruoxua pretended to be stupid. Lung Ruoxua, I know that our clansmen are all in your hands. As long as you return our clansmen obediently, our dragon clan will not take revenge for you killing the fifth elder. The golden dragon said as if it was showing mercy. Who are you? Can you decide what to do with the dragon clan? Lung Ruoxua asked in puzzlement. I'm the first elder of the dragon clan. Don't worry, our dragon clan will definitely carry out whatever I agree to. The first elder of the dragon clan promised. But I don't believe you. Moreover, you said I killed your fifth elder. Do you have evidence? If not, I'll sue you for framing me. Lung Ruoxua said with a spurious smile. You. How dare you say that you didn't kill our fifth elder of the dragon clan? The first elder of the dragon clan questioned with a trembling body. Humans were indeed cunning and devious. Wasn't this obvious? They actually dared to renege on the debt. It was too much. No, I didn't kill it, Lung Ruoxua said with certainty. Well, she didn't kill it. It was eaten by her family's food. Then who killed him? The dragon clan's first elder's huge dragon body trembled even more violently. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. I don't know, Lung Ruoxua said irresponsibly. Her beautiful eyes quietly looked at the territory of the dragon clan. Well, the place where the dragon clan lived was far inferior to the phoenix clan. The phoenix clan might live on trees, but the trees were arranged in melon brilliance. As for these dragons, they lived in the rock walls. Some didn't even have a door. They just opened a cave directly on the rock wall as their residence. Alas, they were really good at dealing with it. Lung Ruoxua focus. The first elder of the dragon clan was so angry that he didn't know what to say. He was even angrier when he unintentionally saw Lung Ruoxua not paying attention to him at all. First elder, just say whatever you want to say. I'm listening. Lung Ruoxua said speechlessly, but she couldn't help but grumble in her heart. This old dragon was too nosy. So what if she liked to multitask? Lung Ruoxua, the fifth elder of our dragon clan died after looking for you. Who else could it be if not you? The first elder of the dragon clan calmed down a little, and then questioned calmly. Is first elder sure that fifth elder didn't look for anyone else? Lung Ruoxua asked instead of answering. This old dragon was not too stupid. At least he knew to hold on to her tightly. No. First elder was very sure. You've always been together? Lung Ruoxua asked doubtfully. What do you mean? The first elder of the dragon clan asked cautiously with a face full of vigilance. How can you be sure that I'm the last person it saw before we were together? Lung Ruoxua asked. Lung Ruoxua, don't think of going back on your word. It will definitely not let you go since you killed Fengyan. However, you are still alive and well while the fifth elder is dead, the dragon clan's first elder analyzed. Well, that makes sense. Lung Ruoxua nodded in agreement. You can't deny it. The dragon clan's first elder said fiercely. All right. Since you're sticking to me, I want to ask, what do you want? Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Well, it was time to return to the topic after teasing her enough. Didn't I say it before? We won't pursue the matter of you killing the fifth elder as long as you let the other dragons go. The dragon clan's first elder said very generously. Why? Isn't the dragon clan known to be the most united? I killed the fifth elder, but you actually let it go just like that? Lung Ruoxue said in disbelief. Well, she didn't want the dragon clan to let her go just like that. There was too little sense of accomplishment this way. The fifth elder deserves it. It doesn't matter if they die, but the other clansmen are innocent, so forget about this matter as long as you're willing to let them go. The first elder of the dragon clan said gloomily. Boo. In fact, it didn't want to be so cowardly, but the situation was pressing. The Phoenix clan was wiped out by them, and they didn't even leave a tree behind, so their dragon clan was also afraid. It was fine before they didn't know this human strength, but now that they knew, they naturally wouldn't risk the lives of all their clansmen. Chapter 767. Old Friends Meet 3. But I heard that you looked for me all over the world to seek revenge for the fifth elder, right? Lung Ruoxue was a little speechless. She didn't expect these dragons to change their minds. This was a little different from what she had expected, so she was very dissatisfied. That was all a misunderstanding. We looked for you to let you back into the clan. First Elder Long Xiao said with a smile. First Elder, do you think him a 3-year-old child? You came to me previously to avenge the fifth elder. As for why you changed your mind, well, if I'm not mistaken, it should be related to the Phoenix clan. Lung Ruoxue said understandingly. The dragons were probably afraid because they knew that the Phoenix clan had disappeared. Of course not. You really misunderstood. First Elder said stubbornly. First Elder, no matter why you're looking for me, I can tell you very clearly now that your fifth elder was eaten by my beasts, and the subordinates it brought are now my captives. However, I won't return them to you. Lung Ruoxue said very clearly. Lung Ruoxue, our dragon clan won't pursue the matter of you killing the fifth elder, but you actually don't know what's good for you, You will regret being enemies with the dragon clan. The first elder of the dragon clan roared in anger. Alas! This human really didn't give them face. It originally thought that this human would be moved to tears after hearing its conditions. Who knew that he didn't appreciate it at all? Thinking of this, the first elder was really angry. Is that so? I really want to know how I will regret it. First elder, I'll give you some time. Go and gather the dragons of the dragon clan. Otherwise, the little dragons beside you won't be enough for my subordinates to practice. Lung Ruoxue reminded kindly. You are really ridiculous. Go, let this human know the power of our dragon clan. The first elder of the dragon clan was completely enraged. None of the dragons beside him moved with his order. First elder, looks like you don't have much prestige in the clan. Look at these dragons. They don't listen to your orders at all. Lung Ruoxue said with a face full of pity after a while. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and attack me to compensate this human with some power. The dragon clan's first elder roared with anger. However, he was still unwilling to be the first dragon drop. First elder, let's go back and call for more clansmen. A red dragon whispered. Boo. It wasn't that they didn't want to attack. This human really gave them too much pressure. Then go back and call them. First elder sighed and said helplessly. Yes, the red dragon answered. It turned and was about to fly away, when Lung Ruoxue's voice sounded in its ears. It's best if you call your old ancestor up too, Lung Ruoxue reminded with a smile. Well, come out. She could clean up together to avoid wasting time. The huge red dragon couldn't help but tremble when it heard Lung Ruoxue's words. Then it quickly flew away with a whoosh. There's no need for our old ancestor to take care of you humans. The dragon clan's first elder roared while pretending to be calm. Is that so? Lung Ruoxue smiled, and then moved the old phoenixes out of the bracelet with a thought. After the old phoenixes emerged, They were all stunned because their current image was really too inelegant. Some were drooling, combed their hair, and had fruit in their mouths. However, they quickly returned to noble phoenixes after seeing Lung Ruoxue and the others. Lass, why didn't you say anything when you got us out? Feng Zhan complained with a depressed face. Boo. The good image it had worked so hard to maintain was all destroyed. Fortunately, not many phoenixes saw it. Otherwise, how could it train those juniors in the future? It was just a spur-of-the-moment idea. Lung Ruoxue said with a naughty smile. Oh, then where is this place? Why do I smell a strange smell? Feng Zhan sniffed hard. Well, the smell was indeed wrong. We're here in the Dragon Clan, Lung Ruoxue replied. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Dragon Clan? Why are they coming to the Dragon Clan? No wonder the smell is so stinky, Feng Zhan said very disdainfully. The dragons want to avenge their fifth elder, so I consciously came knocking on their door, Lung Ruoxue explained with a smile. No, we don't want to avenge the fifth elder. The first elder of the Dragon Clan opposite was covered in cold sweat after coming out of the old phoenixes. Now that he heard Lung Ruoxue frame them, he gathered his courage to defend the Dragon Clan. Where did this human come from? Why were these old phoenixes with her? They originally thought that Lung Ruoxue only dealt with the little phoenix of the Phoenix clan. How could they expect that she didn't let go of those who had been sleeping? After seeing these old phoenixes, it couldn't help but feel a little regretful. Why did they provoke this human for no reason? The strength of the two races, which were originally on par, was no longer on par because of the unexpected appearance of these old phoenixes. Humph. Do you think I will believe you? Feng Zhan raised his eyes slightly and said lightly. Boo-hoo. I don't dare to lie in front of you, old man. The Dragon Clan's first elder said aggrievedly like a little wife. These old phoenixes were protecting their cubs one by one. It couldn't afford to offend them. You're the old man. I'm still very young. Feng Zhan roared with displeasure. Haha. First elder, I can give you some time to wake your old ancestor up now, Lung Ruoxue said very kindly. Okay, go and wake those old things up. I don't want to bully the young. Feng Zhan nodded and echoed. But the first elder of the Dragon Clan was a little hesitant. He would have sent someone to call for the old ancestors if they could be awakened easily. But what? Hurry up and call for it. An old phoenix with a fiery temper couldn't help roaring when it saw the submissive appearance of the first elder of the Dragon Clan. Yes, the first elder of the Dragon Clan answered and then slipped away from the group. Lass, find a place to set up the tent. Those old things won't wake up for at least half a month, Feng Zhan reminded. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.